All right, good evening and welcome to the Franchise Time Machine. We're going to take a little bit of a break from the project we've been working on the last few episodes, which is, let me pull that up real quick. Well, tonight we're going to do a little sim using the editor with a game I used to play in older versions of OOTP that will update for OOTP 25. And it's a fun way to just kind of get familiar with editor and have some fun seeing how well we can improve some players. It's called Raise the Roof, Raise the Floor. And what I would normally do is, in the old game at least, give myself 100 points to assign to each player. And I'd usually limit to like 9 or 10 players per roster. Um, I came that number basically by like, you can either hit all the position players in a pitcher, or you can kind of split it between the two. And it seemed like a way to do it without getting too ridiculous, even though you'll see it can sometimes be pretty ridiculous anyway. But it's a fun way to play the base game. Uh, you get to use the editor and get to know some of the players from kind of the ratings behind the card. So we're going to do that in the base game. What we're so that's what we're doing tonight. What we're kind of taking a little bit of a step back from is the preparations for the team NSFW, not safe for work, baseball player names from across history. So we've done the pitcher reveal. That's from the batter reveal. We've done the pitcher reveal, um, and last stream we did the roster build. So the text file's ready to go. Most of the stuff's ready to go. There are a few other things I wanted to do before doing the stream, and I also wasn't 100% sure what the schedules would look like tonight. So I didn't want to step on any toes of that. So I figured I'd do kind of an unscheduled but fun base game sim, just to kind of offer some drops to folks, show people something fun they could do in the base game, while kind of leaving the runway open for any other folks who might want to stream tonight. So we're going to do this in the base game. So let me open that up for you. Okay, so I just logged out of Perfect Team, and hope you're all doing well in Perfect Team. I know the PTCS standings came out today, so I hope those are where you were hoping they would be. And I know the new league seasons are underway too, so hope you're doing well there. So we're going to do this. We could have picked any season. I picked 1990 and I picked the Rangers because the way this game works, let me explain the premise. So raise the roof, raise the floor. I'll give myself 100 points in the old game. That translates to 220 points in the new game, and I can walk you through that for each player. So each player that I'm changing. And so raise the roof is I would either give myself the option of taking one of their highest attributes and raising them to kind of like superstar level, or take one of their weakest attributes and raise the floor of their game to kind of raise their overall performance. And on the cover slide, that team had Nolan Ryan and Bobby Witt. He's probably better known now as Bobby Witt Sr. because his son Bobby Witt Jr. is playing so well. But Bobby Witt Sr., let's pull up his baseball reference stats. I was actually just looking at them earlier today. He's a pitcher who, when I was growing up, he was always kind of fascinating / frustrating to me because he seemed like he was always on the cusp of greatness because he had a super strong arm, could strike batters out, but he also had terrible control. And so let's pull up. Oh, I changed the window, so I have to pull it. Sorry, I have to find this window again. There we go. Okay, so there's Bobby Witt Sr. So let me show you what I mean about power in his control. So you can see as a rookie, he comes into the league, um, 9.9 strikeouts per 9 innings, stellar. Hold on, let me move this to this. Let me make sure you can see that. Okay, you're not quite seeing that. Let me adjust my settings here a little bit. All right, it's gonna start to get small on you, so hopefully you can see. But I'll tell you what I'm looking at here. Um, so as a rookie in 1986 as a 22-year-old, 9.9 strikeouts per nine, outstanding, but 8.2 walks per nine, pretty terrible. Led the league in walks, led the league in wild pitches. So almost like Nuke Lelouch brought to real life. And then the next season, even more strikeouts per 9 innings, 10.1, and even more walks per 9 innings, 8.8. And one of the things people talk about in perfect team helps you understand base game. Base game can help you understand perfect team. One of the things people talk about is fatigue is less of a problem if you're a control pitcher because you're not throwing as many pitches per inning. But so stamina, you can have a lower stamina pitcher if he's a high control pitcher because he's not going to be throwing as many pitches per inning. So his lower stamina will translate into more innings than a low control pitcher. Well, this is about the lowest control pitcher you can find. So part of the problem is he's only throwing 157, 143 innings because he's throwing so many darn pitches, right? He's 140 walks. That's at least 560 pitches, and that's if he walks him on 4 pitches. So he's throwing more than that. Each strikeout is at least 3 pitches, right? So he's throwing a ton of pitches just on the walks and strikeouts, and that's just assuming 4-ball walks and 3-ball strikes. Given his control, a lot of those are going full count, and so it's going to be hard for a pitcher like that to get close to 200 innings. And so my thought was always, man, if this guy could figure out some control, he could be really good. Well, even just cutting his walk rate to 4.5, which is still pretty bad, and keeping his strikeout rate at 9, he logs a 17-10 season, 3.36 ERA. ERA and wins aren't necessarily the best metrics, but a 117 ERA plus gives you a clue that he's doing well relative to the league, and his WHIP is down to 1.383, first time below 1.5. If he could keep that up, that'd be fantastic. Well, he's got a shortened 91 season. I think he might have been injured, and then he's traded. So 1992, he's split between Texas and Oakland, but um, he, you know his walks, they don't balloon back up, but his strikeouts will really start to drop. So he's now down to 5.8 strikeouts per inning. So I picked 1990 because this was a year, it was kind of like an inflection point year. You think maybe he's going to take off and the strikeouts are going to keep coming and the walks are going to get cut down. It doesn't quite go in that direction, but this is a year I want to kind of capture. The other thing about this 1990 Texas team, if you talk about like raising a really high attribute for compensating for a low one, let me change the view here a little bit again so you can actually see better now that we've gone through Bobby Witt. Um, so they went 83 and 79, and let me make note of that because we're going to see how we do compared to that record. Um, here's my pen. All right, 83 and 79 is our target. We're going to see how well we do compared to that. And as a Mets fan, I kind of like that Bobby Valentine was the manager. He would go on to also manage the Mets. But if you look at this roster, I mean, it's full of some pretty good players, but then you also have folks like Pete Incaviglia, right? Power hitter, 146 strikeouts, 233 average. Like imagine what that guy could do if you add 100 points then, 220 points in OOTP 25 numbers. Add 220 points to his avoid K. Right? What happens then? He's already a 24 home run guy. He's a 721 OPS guy. What happens if he cuts down some strikeouts? Um, and then you've got guys like Gary Pettis, right? He's a light hitting but speedy center fielder. Unfortunately, not a great leadoff batter because he's hitting 239. Um, his OPS plus is 88. Not great, not terrible, but what if you can add 220 points to his eye or 220 points to his BABIP, right? Make him a much more effective leadoff hitter. Um, Even a guy like Ruben Sierra, he, he always struck me as like a pretty all around good outfielder, but not really a great outfielder. He's one actually where you'd want to take those 220 points and maybe divide them up a bit. But, he has a slash line 280, 330, 426. Add 220 points either to BABIP or power or maybe even gap, right? And you maybe have a super compelling play there. The gap would be more like raise the roof because he's already got 37 doubles. Like what happens if you raise his gap even higher? Um, yeah, so there's a lot of interesting players in the lineup that you might want to consider. And then on the pitching staff, of course, you've got Bobby Witt. I think no doubt increases control. Hey, Brett, welcome to the stream. He hits or hits. Are you trying to say he hits for power for you in perfect? Are you talking about Rubens? I missed when your comment came in. So who were you talking about? Oh, what are we doing? So I'm yeah, I'm playing this game in the base game using editor. Oh yeah, Ruben Sierra for sure. Called Raise the Roof, Raise the Floor, where I take 9 or 10 players. I think I'm going to do 10 today just to see how it works in the new game. And I take 9 or 10 players. For each one of them, I can take one attribute and add what would be 100 points in the old game or 220 points in the new game to any attribute. Usually, I would take one of their strongest attributes and make it like superhero level, or take one of their weakest attributes and kind of shore it up and kind of raise their total level of play. So I was just going through the lineup talking about, imagine a Pete Incaviglia with lower avoid K, um, or a Gary Pettis with better eye or better BABIP, or Bobby Witt here. He's one of the people I actually think about with this. Yeah, go ahead, Brent. What's your question? Brent's question is, when I edit in a fictional game, it never works. What am I doing? So what do you mean when you say it never works? Like, so you make the changes. It worked in 23. Do you mean when you go into editor and you change like his batting characteristics, like the numbers, like his BABIP and his avoid K and stuff? Does it not take? Okay, you add speed or power contact and it doesn't take. Do you mean the numbers change but his performance doesn't seem to change? Oh, the numbers don't change. Uh, that's interesting. Why don't we do this? I'm about to jump into into the game. I was just gonna real quick like pick out some of the players. I can make the rest of the choices in the game, so we can get to the editor screen and we can start testing out what you're talking about. Um, I've only played with editor a little bit in 25, but I will tell you it did work. So maybe this will be good. You can see the way I'm doing it. Maybe you'll notice something I'm doing differently. But the best example I have of that is in our all rookie season, Josh Gibson wasn't imported correctly. And so the left is what we're getting on the import, the right is what we wanted. The left is when you imported 1933 Josh Gibson into this game, into 2023. This is a fictional league you're talking about. Even if it's a fictional league, I don't see how the mechanics would be that different. Um, Now, to be fair, Brent, I've never created a 100% fictional league. The closest I've come is I've made a fictional team of myself and my friends in the majors, but I did all of that in editor. I haven't done that in 2020 in OOTP 25 though, but I did this with Josh Gibson. And so I took a screenshot of his attributes from the version on the right, went into the game, which looked like the version on the left, made all the changes, and then when I came back out, he looked like the version on the right, and I was able to save it. He played like the version on the right. I think his season OPS was like 1036, and in 1933 he had a 1086 OPS. So it was very close. Definitely much more like the version on the right than the version on the left here. So hopefully, when I'm doing it, it'll take, and maybe you'll see something I'm doing that maybe you're not doing in your fictional league. The only other thing I could think of is if you're doing everything the way I'm doing it, maybe there was something in the setup of the fictional league that's different. So let's go to the base. Well, so I just want to look at a few more pictures real quick. So Bobby Witt, I think we definitely want to increase his control. I think he would be an amazing pitcher with some control. I mean, Nolan Ryan is almost the example of him. A young Nolan Ryan had, as a Mets fan, young Nolan Ryan also super high heat, super low control, but over time, I mean, he never became like a Greg Maddux, uber control pitcher, but he reined it in. He got it under control and became a very effective pitcher. I think, at this inflection point in his career, Bobby Witt could have gone down that path. And then with Charlie Huff, who I think at this point was throwing a knuckleball, I think adding stuff would be great, but you can't just add stuff in the game, and you'll see that in editor. But I think we can either add 220 points to a pitch in an effort to increase his stuff, or it might have to go into movement or something to try to make him more effective. And Kevin Brown's another one where I'd love to add some power to his game, but there's no real way to do that on the pitcher side. So we'll have to figure out something interesting there. So yeah, so let's go into the base game. So we're going to create a new game. And Brent, maybe something in this setup might be different too. So I'm going to create a new historical game because we're going to create a historical season. Mountain. So you can't do this in challenge mode because we're going to be in commissioner mode. We're doing 1990. So defensive era. Near the end of the defensive era. We're going to import the complete history. For this sim, it's actually probably not as important. In fact, I think just to show that it's not important, maybe we'll just turn that off for now. I had career mode selected earlier for something else. We're going to do default mode. So default mode will still do the recalc every season. We're just going to one season sim, so it doesn't really matter. But we don't want to do career mode because that will depart completely from their kind of real life trajectory. If we're more than one season, it'd be more important to explain kind of how these are different. But for this one season sim, we'll just do default mode. We do not want historical transactions. We'll leave minor leagues on for now. It's not really necessary, but and we're not going to do expansion. Again, it's 1 year, so it doesn't matter as much. Oh, shoot. I just did that whole thing without showing the game screen. Sorry about that. Here, we can go back. I'll just do it super fast. Okay, 1990. I unchecked import the complete history. So, Brent, you're doing a Yankee sim in the base game and have not tried the editor. Oh, okay. Well, it depends. If you're trying to do like a very true to life sim, you probably don't want to use the editor. But if you don't mind having a little bit of fun and changing some things around, I really like going in there using editor. And then we chose default mode here on the right. At some point for different sims, I'll explain what each of these does. Another person who's super knowledgeable on this, and I actually learned a lot just hearing him talk through it, is Twins34, who is also now an affiliate streamer. So check him out when you get a chance. It's twins_34, the numeral 34. I always make sure historical transactions are off. I don't want anyone being added or taken away from our team. We are going to import real minor leagues, and we turned off expansion. Okay, ready to start. So we'll call this raise the roof, raise the floor. Rangers, 1990. Oops. Okay. I am GM and manager. We do need to be in commissioner mode to use editor, and I don't want to be fired from this team. So we're going to click that. All right, so now it's going to load up that game. This is much easier than our other sims because we don't have to really import anyone. We don't need to change any settings. It's going to be pretty straightforward. But as always, it takes a little bit of time for the game to set up. And I did not do my usual um, preemptive reset tonight, so I'm hoping that OBS and the game make it through tonight. Because it's a simpler sim, I was thinking it wouldn't be as important, but you never know. I can always already hear the fan revving up, which is never a good sign. Okay, great. So we are going to, of course, take control of the Rangers. Okay, it's going to take a little while to chew on this again. Okay, so we are in preseason. We're going to check out the roster real quick. So Brent says, you want to import a fictional game from 24, but I have a Mac and it takes a workaround. And I'm not a computer geek, so you deleted it. Okay. So you had a game in 24, you deleted it by mistake or on purpose? I'll let you know, Brent. I've actually never imported a game across versions of OOTP, even though I've been on purpose. Okay. Even though I've been playing since I think it's like OOTP 12 or something. Um, you were mad. Um, I always just started new. In fact, one of the ways I would test drive a new version of OOTP was I would do the same sim again, which is like creating myself and my friends in the league. Now, sometimes I wanted to import it because I thought I've already made these players, but for me, part of the fun was making the players and then making them in the new game with whatever new kind of bells and whistles it had. Um, and also too, like I may have met new new people, or I may have been playing in a new softball league and like wanted to bring some of those players in. And so I always kind of started from scratch. So I'm not good. I'm not knowledgeable at all about importing stuff between versions of OOTP, unfortunately. All right, so we're going to check out our roster, see what we've got to work with. And we're mostly going to ignore the minors. So we may have to dip into the minors. Oh, that's another thing is we should consider whether we're going to turn injuries on or off. Um, so every time I do this, this is what I typically do because I'm trying to do a season sim. Yeah, you hated losing 4 seasons. That would suck. Um, For me, I was always ready to start fresh. I was like, okay, I've been doing this same sim for a while. I got a new version of the game. I'm excited to try it, and I'd start over again. But I can totally understand being annoyed at losing 4 years. So I normally turn off his historic transaction because when I pull a father-son team together from across history or an all-rookie team, I don't want them getting hurt during the season. I want to see what they can do. I think for this, I'll probably do the same. I'll turn injuries off. I'd also turn historic transactions off. I don't want anything kind of messing with our team. Other teams can make trades as much as they want. I don't. I just don't want them being forced on our team. I always turn All Star popular influence of popularity on All Star game off because I want players to make the team based on their performance. Even in this sim, the popularity of these players should be realistic, but I may raise the performance or the attributes of an unknown player. I want them to make the All Star team if they play well enough. So I'm going to turn popularity off. So those are the things that I usually look to do in the game. So the first thing we're going to do is let's start with Bobby Witt Jr. or Bobby Witt Sr. because we know we're going to change him around. So let's just go to him in editor. There's Bobby Witt. Okay, he's already a 4-star pitcher. Uh, Also makes sense because in this season, if you look at his real life stats, and this is a real cool feature that OTP has, you don't have to go to Baseball Reference once you're in the season, as long as you're looking for players available that season. You just go to their profile, and then in the blue bar, it has their profile, their ratings. This is a deeper dive into the ratings, their batting stats in season, pitching stats. Um, these are, oh, yeah, you know what? These are their in-game histories. So if you're starting in 1990, it just has their real history until 1990. If this had been our second year simming, it would have real stats through 89, our 1990 sim stats, and then 1991 would be blank. It builds sim stats on top of old historic stats. Fielding stats, and then you get to real life stats. This is now the real life stats going forward, starting in 1990 and forward. So if you're ever playing a save where you're being a GM against other AI GMs, this is a really easy way to cheat. You don't even have to go to BREF. Whatever player they're offering you, you can look at their real life stats and see, what are they going to do. And if it's set on recalc, that trajectory you see in the real life stats should be reflected pretty closely in the game because that's what recalc does. It's going to each year their attributes will reflect what they did that year in real life. And then there's history, and then this is what we want, which is editor. Now, the first page editor, we're not going. In this case, we're not going to play with too much. There are scenarios I'm going to do where I'm going to take like the injury level of players to 0 because I want to see what they could have done if they hadn't gotten hurt. He'll have batting ratings, but they won't be very good because he's an AL pitcher, doesn't bat much. But here's where we want his pitching ratings. So Brent, so far, am I getting to editor the way you were getting to editor? Oh, sorry, Brent, I was on mute. Okay, so you are getting there the same way I am. Okay, now with batters, it was a lot easier to play this game because I could just add to power if I wanted to make them more of a power hitter. You can't really do that with pitchers. There's no power rating. Stuff is the closest thing. But if you've never gone to editor, this might be new to you. Stuff, you can't edit, right? If you look at all these gray cells, these are all numbers you can edit, right? These are pitch values. And then you have your movement, raw movement, and then control. Um, and there is a spot here for pitcher BABIP, which this is new. Yeah, Brent, exactly. If you give him a better fastball, that's probably the quickest way um, to increase his stuff. So let's try it out. So his stuff right now is 515. If you look at the bottom here, this is a nice feature that editor has. This will change as you make changes up here. But then if you look on the right side, these are the stats that would result from his attributes in a neutral modern major league environment. So given his attributes, before we touch anything, right, this pitcher, this version of Bobby Witt would throw about 232 innings, give up 206 hits, give up 16 homers, 170 walks. Bottom line, he'd have a 3.65 ERA, a 229 opponent average, and a 5.4 WAR. Yeah, so Brett, yeah, I can increase his speed too. Speed is the other way to really increase, or velocity is a way to increase stuff. But the way I play the game, I give myself 100 points, or 100 translates to 220 here. And the way I do that math is, um, in the old game, the max was 250. In the new game, the max is 550. If you double 250, you get to 500. You add 10%, that's 550. So if I'm adding 10 points or 100 points, you double it to 220, add 10%, or sorry, to 200, add 10% to 220. I should have made a slide. Maybe I'll make a slide and I'll insert it in the VOD. But basically, 100 points back then translates to 220 now, just like 250 back then translates to 550 now. So I have 220 points to add. I guess I can figure out some way that I want to translate that to velocity. And I can't just add to power like I could with a batter, because what's going to happen is if I take this, it's theoretically a 550 points scale, but you can go over. So let me just make note here. His fastball ratings are 464 and 434. And that does not factor in velocity. It says here, excluding velocity. So basically, he has like almost a world-class fastball because 550 is the max. So if we add 220, let's see what happens to this stat line here. This 229 opponent average, 3.65 ERA, and 3.29 FIP. All right, so if we add 220, we get 684. I don't even know if it'll calculate that high. We're going to leave potential alone for now. So now his opponent, he actually gives up. Wait, does he give up more hits now? Let's take this back to 464. Yeah, that's funny. If I crank up his fastball by 220 points, which makes it like an off the scale fastball, like no one has a fastball this good. Watch his hits allowed on the right side. The hits allowed is right here. Okay, it's right after innings pitched. So 44 to 684. Oh, this used to happen in the old game too, where once you make a change, it stops registering changes. So I have to back out and go back in. Oh, now it says 68. So I make this 684 and hit enter. Oh, now it's not registering at all. That's a bummer. Editor always has these little quirks, and I'm discovering them now. Okay, it's a little behind. It did go down to 20. Oh, 206 what it was originally, I think. Okay, let's see if it'll take the new change again. 684. Yeah, the hits allowed go up to 214. That's strange. Brent, the reason I don't add it to potential is potential actually won't change um his in his performance this season. It only change how good he can become. Now that said, like I don't have a problem adding to potential because it's a one season sim, but you should decide in your sim if the changes you're making, do you want to make them to your player in this current season, or do you want to make them to your player in their peak season or like their trajectory, or do you want to change both? I don't mind changing both, but usually for simplicity, I just change the current. So it okay, so this is weird. His opponent average is actually better at the lower fastball rating, which doesn't make any sense to me. Unless here's the view rating is 55 at 464. I wonder if it's kind of like flipping the odometer and 684. Yeah, look at that. It's going down to 40. So it's that I've never seen that before. Maybe it did this in the old game too, but it's going so high that instead of going up, it's flipping back down to 40 instead of. So, okay, so here's the view rating 40 at 684. And if I go to 464, it's 55. That's why you were getting that weird result. So I'm guessing the best I can do is I should go to 550. And now it's a 60 fastball. If I go to 555, what happens? Yeah, it's flipping over. So we actually can exceed 550, which is not true for all attributes. My understanding is if you can increase power above 550 on a batter. But well, actually, let's try that. Okay. See, I'm already learning stuff about editor and OOTP 25 that I didn't know. So this might have to change the way I play the game. Brent, I wonder if you're running into that too. Did you maybe raise the attributes so much that it flipped over and went back to the bottom of the scale? I would have easily done that because I didn't know that was a thing. Let's pick a batter. Like we know Pete Incaviglia, I want to increase his avoid K. So we'll go to editor for him. Okay, no, you didn't flip it. Okay, well that's good though. That we're checking that off the list. All right, so you can see his overall avoid K is 291, which is pretty low. His power is 439, which is good. His gap is 458, which is good. Again, we're talking the 550 scale. You can see here against the league average, right? He's well above league average in gap. He's way above league average in power. He's a little below average in I/patience, but really the strikeouts are coming from his avoid K is way below league average. Oh, you couldn't change the numbers at all? I wonder, were you not in commissioner mode? Although if you're not in commissioner mode, then I don't think you see editor at all. Um, so avoid K. See, 220 points here doesn't take us over 550, but just to check on purpose, I'm going to go over 550. So let me jot down. He's 302, 287 right now. Okay. Now, unlike with the pitchers, um, you could not change out the numbers, as I'm guessing you were typing, Brent. So unlike with the pitchers, with the batters, you can enter in the VL and the VR. So what's their avoid K versus lefties? What's their avoid K versus righties? So I jotted down both of these so I can return them to normal. If I add 220, we get to 522, and you can see the view rating is going up to 45. You can see the overall rating is going up to 369, and this goes to 509. Okay, his view rating now on I is 80. He's now a world-class avoid K hitter. But if I take this up to 551, okay, you see the avoid K just went back down. At 550, it's 519 and 80, right? 519 and 80. At 551, it's 453 and 60. Okay, so we just learned something important for batters and for pitchers, which this is not what my understanding. Um, my understanding was you could in the old game too that you could go beyond the edge. So you can go beyond 250 in the old game and it would keep going higher. What this is showing me is if you go beyond 550, you kind of fall off the edge and go back down to zero, or in this case 40. So that's going to change the way I play the game. So what we're going to do is we'll add 220 up until 550. The problem with that though is it's going to limit the amount we can help these players because of the scale, they're already kind of close to the max. But we know they'll work with Pete Incaviglia because you saw his avoid K went from 40 to 60. So let's just see. I'll turn it back, but if I take this to 524, you'll try it and you'll be back tomorrow. Yeah, for sure. Well, tomorrow I'm probably not going to stream. I think Max LP's going to be streaming, but I will be back on Thursday. So definitely check back in. Or if you find me out and about in streams, feel free to DM me. We changed this to 509. Okay, yeah. He's got a 513 avoid K, an 80 view rating. His contact is now up to 445, which is a 60 contact. Now, instead of like a 40 contact, 60 power, 50 I guy, we've got a 60 contact, 60 power, 50 I guy. This is now like maybe not triple crown candidate level, but this is now like oh yeah, well, it says right here, he's now almost a 300 hitter, hitting 27 bombs instead of a 233 hitter. Okay, so let's take him back just for now. We know we're going to change him. We know we're going to change his avoid K. One quality of life thing I would really like to have in editor is an undo button. I'm always having to write down what the original numbers were or take screenshots because I'm worried that if I um, have like a mouse slip or a finger slip, I'm going to change a number and I'm not going to be able to undo it. Yeah, you too, Brian. Have a great night. Thanks for stopping by. And hopefully I was able to help you with your answer, but if not, come back and we'll try to figure it out together. Um, but yeah, you can see like even though I've been playing base game for over a decade, um, there's always new wrinkles. Uh, some are real fun and great. Some are a little perplexing and annoying. This one's a little annoying. That the numbers kind of circle back. Maybe it's been doing that all along and I just never took it that high. Um, but like I was saying, an undo button on this screen would be great because if you forgot that this outfield range was 135 and you type something over it, I don't know what you do. Like, how do you remember that it's 135 if you weren't paying attention and you just like had a mouse slip and deleted it? I think you'd have to almost have to like go back to the previous save, which would be annoying if you just edited a bunch of his attributes. So maybe there's a de facto undo, but I've never seen it. I'm going to make a note. I'm going to ask in the forum if there is an undo in editor. Yeah. All right, so I think with the hitters, it's going to be easy. We need to go back to Bobby Witt Jr. and figure out how we're going to do this with the pitchers. I don't like to split up that 220 because, well, with Bobby Witt, it's actually easy because control Yeah, let's go back to the roster. With control, it's just like avoid K for the batters. This is where pitching can be tricky because half of pitching is like the batters. It's very simple. There's Bobby Witt. Right on the in the pitching ratings, on the right side, movement and control, just like batters, verse lefties, verse righties, and you can edit them directly, and it'll change their home run allowed and their overall movement. Now we know from playing Perfect Team, this is the rare example of like Perfect Team helped me uncover knowledge in base game, that this raw movement number breaks down into home runs allowed and PBABIP. Well, here's PBABIP. So I guess if we play with this, we can then change home runs. Let me try that. So with a PBABIP of 90, the home runs allowed are 454 and 448. So if I change this to 100, oh, interesting. The home runs allowed stay fixed. The overall movement is what changes. So home run allowed, you see how that the overall movement row is changing, but home run allowed is not changing. So me changing BABIP isn't going to change that. So it must, the only way to change home run allowed must be by changing raw movement. So this is 465. Let me change it to 550. Yep, the home run allowed gets better. So let's click this at to 465. Okay. So this is the first time I'm editing a picture after having played Perfect Team and understanding how home runs allowed and PBABIP add up to overall movement. So this is interesting for me. So for Bobby Witt, it's super simple, right? I would add these 220 points right here. I would make this 534, and I would make this 536. Right, and now Bobby Witt Jr. is a 2.41 ERA pitcher with a 10.1 WAR because he's getting almost 300 strikeouts while giving up 18 walks. He's got Greg Maddux control with like Randy Johnson stuff. This is exactly what I was hoping for, right? So for him, control is easy. You saw how easy it was. So let's take that 220 back. So this is 314. And this must be 316. Yeah, so now he's back to 3.65 ERA, which is still good. 217 strikeouts, but he's got 117 walks, right? The walks are what's killing his WAR and his ERA because it's destroying his WHIP. He just got tons of runners on base who are going to score. The average, I don't think, is changing because it's walks, but his overall stat line is changing for sure. So let's go look at a Charlie Huff now because that's a picture where we want to change his stuff. And we might not have the room to do it with 220 points. This is like at the end of the old school Wheel of Fortune where you have too much money left. You have to buy some stupid thing instead of the service merchandise gift certificate, which shows you how old I am that I remember the old school Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so let's look at Charlie Huff. They got Jamie Moyer too, as another one in that class where he's a pitcher where if he suddenly had high stuff, and what couldn't he do? All right, so here's Charlie Huff. He's a knuckleball pitcher, right? That's part of the reason why he doesn't have high stuff. He's throwing a knuckleball, um, and he's probably got pretty low velocity. Well, actually, for a knuckleballer, he's got some heat, 91 to 93 miles per hour. Back in the day, in 1990, that was fast. Um, his fastballs. Okay, this is a case where. So I'm going to give people players the option, right? They can take 220 or up to 550 because you clearly don't want to go over 550. So let me write down here. He's 335 and 401. because I'm going to take these up to 550. Right? He's going to leave points on the table, but let's see if it's worth it. His stuff right now is 343. Overall, 365 as a relief pitcher. Yeah, his stuff is now 454 and 486. And his stat line just went to. It's funny, even with that stuff, his ERA is still 4.5 as a starter, 3.73 as a reliever, even though his stuff went way up. So that goes to show then he also is maybe a control issue guy, which I hadn't really thought about. So let's take his fastball back. Oh, part of it too is like if his fastball is not his out pitch. So let's try this. Let me jot down his knuckleball numbers, 338 and 410. And let's max those out. That might have more of an impact on this stuff. Five, oh, not 55, 550. Oh yeah, his stuff is now in the 600s. Okay. Whoa! Look what that did. His opponent batting average is now .097. His ERA is .81. We've turned him into like beyond Bob Gibson. Okay, that's what we do then. We gave him the perfect knuckleball and took his stuff through the roof. Okay, I'm going to turn him back into normal for a second. Because I do want to see, just for comparison, what if we max out his control? Because I just noticed his control is actually almost as bad as Bobby Witt Sr.'s was. So his control is 268 and 272. So 268, 220 gets him to 490. And the 272 gets him to 494. Okay, that only has a marginal impact. You can see his ERA is still 3.62. So it's actually in the game. So we're learning stuff in editor here. We're learning that it's better to have a maxed out knuckleball with low control than a above average knuckleball with poor control. Or sorry, above average knuckleball with impeccable control. It's better to still have an a world class knuckleball with poor control, which is surprising to me. But that's what we're finding. So this is going to help us budget our points. And for all I know, this could have been the case in the. So before I started playing Perfect Team, I bought the base game in OTP 24. Started playing Perfect Team, got hooked. So that's why I bought OTP 25. Usually I used to wait 2 or 3 seasons before buying a new version. So congratulations, OTP developments. If part of the point of Perfect Team is to get people to buy the game more often, you absolutely succeeded with me. Okay, so yeah, so this could have been happening in the old base game. I just wouldn't know it. Um, all right, so here's what we're gonna do. Let's go to the roster again. Now that I think we know what we're gonna do, I mean, those are some 3 good test cases. Oh, the only other person I wanted to check is Nolan Ryan so good that there's nowhere we'd want to boost him? Like, are we better off giving his boost to another player? Oh yeah, 5 star, 5 star, 5 star overall, 5 star potential. His stuff is 90 out of 90. This is an 80 scale. So his stuff is like otherworldly. Let's see how he gets to that. Right? He's got, you saw what happened when I gave Charlie Huff a 550 knuckleball? Well, Nolan Ryan's fastball is 501, 508. So without me touching it, it's already almost like topping the charts. So he's got world class fastball, world class curveball, and a world class circle change. Now, my understanding is each of these contributes to stuff, how high they are, but also having multiple pitches increases your stuff too. And so that's also why my understanding is if you only have two pitches, you're better off being in the bullpen because as a starter, you need more than two pitches to kind of keep hitters off balance. Again, this is all stuff that I've either read on the forums or read in the instruction manual or heard now on stream. And that's all mostly perfect team stuff. So base game stuff I've learned through the manual or through the forums. But the good thing about the forums is there are people from OOTP commenting on there. So you're not hearing other players speculate. You're often hearing from the developer saying, no, like this is how it works. And I would put 1,000 times more weight into what a developer says in the forums than another player. And I say that as a player. Like I know when I say something, I'm saying it based on my game experience, but my game experience is nothing compared to someone who has worked on developing the game and understands how the simulation engine works. Like I'll freely admit that, and I will listen to them over another player like myself any day. The only difference is sometimes with some of the modelers on the perfect team side, they actually may have more data than the developers have. So the developers may know how things work, but the modelers may actually have a better idea of how that translates into results, um, because they have so much data on the outcome side. But I think that's a more of a an exceptional case. So yeah, you can see without even tinkering, his opponent average is 0.194, which you would expect from a guy who's thrown seven no hitters, 2.71 ERA, 6.7 WAR. The only place I can really see is like, we could give him pinpoint control. That maybe it's worth it, but maybe it's worth, making someone a little scrubbier way better. But let's jot down 384, 383. I talked about Bobby Witt, young Bobby Witt, maybe being somewhat like a young Nolan Ryan. If Bobby Witt could even get his control this high, he'd be a different pitcher. But because if with Nolan Ryan here, we're only going to give him like 160 some points. He's going to be leaving 60 points on the table, right? Because he's that good. But let's see what happens if we take this up to 550 and 550. And his ERA drops to 1.67. His WAR goes up to 10.6. Yeah, maybe that's worth doing still. I mean, what is it worth to take almost a run off of the ERA of your ace? And also think about how many fewer pitches he's pitching. He's giving up 8 walks and 326 strikeouts. You're getting a 40 strikeout to walk ratio pitcher. That might be worth using one of these 10 magic bullets. Let me take him back because we're 380, 384, 383. Okay, that is an interesting test case because I don't necessarily know what we do with Nolan Ryan. Um, it's tempting to use it on him because he's one of my favorite pitchers. And it would be fun to watch him be the power pitcher he is with pinpoint control. I mean, 8 walks and that's beyond even Greg Maddux control. I don't even know who that is. I'm sure there are people in the game who have control, but not from this era. Okay, so I'm going to keep track of what changes we end up making here. So let's pull up a sheet. Um, Hold on. Somehow I lost my formatting on my slides page here. Let me fix it real quick. I guess it happened because I moved it. It's kind of annoying. All right, bear with me for a second here. Trying to fix. Okay, so I created this sheet that we can keep track of who we changed and how. Or we're going to do 10, so I'm going to have to crank down the font size a little bit. All right, so we know we're going to do Bobby Witt. Whoops. So I'm just using these 2Ds so I don't lose the text boxes. All right, Bobby Witt control. Charlie Huff knuckleball, right? That was insane when we did that. I want to say the jury's still out on Nolan Ryan because he's already so good. Um, so let's look at the roster again. We don't have to do 5 pitchers, 5 batters, but maybe we'll look at the rotation page. That might be better. Yeah. Oh, Jamie Moyer. So yeah, check out his real life stats. Like he pitches forever. Look at this. He's 46 years old and 16-7. And you still have a scroll bar. He's finally 50. Are you kidding me? He's 50. He goes 2-5 with a 5.7 ERA. Before that, he pitched in 2010, went 9-9, 500 record as a 48-year-old. Had a winning record as a 47-year-old. 16-7 as a 47. Insane. Insane how long he's good. Uh, double digits in 90, double digit wins in 96, double digit wins in 93. So with us here, he's a 28-year-old, 2-6. 33 games, 10 started. So he's a swing man in this rotation. He's starting some. He's coming out of the pen the rest. 1.5 whip. You can see what happens over time is. Let's look at 1990, right? He's got 1.5 whip, 3.4 walks per nine, 5.1 strikeouts. Now you look at his most effective seasons with the Mariners, the 21-7 here in 2003. His whip's way down 1.23. His walks are down 2.8, but his strikeouts are still around 5.4. Some of his other good years, he's dipping down to 1.2 walks per nine, 1.09 whip. Right, so he's keeping that whip around 1.2 or below a lot of these seasons. So let's look at his profile and figure out. Although, it might be wasting a swingman, but we might end up turning a swingman into, a front end starter. That's kind of the goal here. So with his pitching ratings, his control's already pretty good. His movement's pretty good. Because he doesn't have like one world class pitch here. Now, I think if we want to make him a power pitcher, we'd max out the fastball. So let's see what happens when we do that. He's at 335 and 303. So if we go he'll max this out at 550, and then this will take to 525 or 523. Okay, still not great. His stuff goes up, but his ERA is still 4.06. So let's take that back. 335 and 303. Now with Huff, we took his out pitch was his knuckleball. Um, I think Jamie Moyer is more of like a junk ball pitcher, so I'm thinking less the cutter and more the changeup or the curveball. So let's try the curveball. He's at 329, 288. For now, let's just take him to 550 and see what happens. Okay, that takes his ERA way down to 3. We're still not in Charlie Huff territory, but that's pretty darn good. 329. Again, I wish I had a undo button here. All right, let's try with a changeup now. 338, 310. And we'll just take him to 550 again for now. Okay, that did a lot. That took his ER down to 2.33, 10.8 WAR. 389 strikeouts. It took this kind of junk ballish pitcher to a 389 strikeout guy by giving him a devastating changeup. Okay, now he's back to 4.64 ERA with 160 strikeouts. So, yeah, giving Jamie Moyer a killer changeup might be the way to go here. Um, but Kevin Brown's tempting. Ooh, he's got all these pitches to choose from. I'm going to wager here that the splitter is going to be the one. Well, let's try it out here. He's at 220 and 315. Now, we actually don't have the room to take him to 550, but let's just do it for sake of comparison. Okay, that actually didn't help as much as I would have thought. So, and that's also exceeding the 350, the 220 addition. So let's try with the changeup. 226 and 333. You can also see how splitty he is, right? Oh no, this is current and potential. That's why it's not changing. Duh. The left-right split happens elsewhere. It's down here. So he's not very slick. I was changing current and potential. I just need to change current. So I've been doing this all wrong. I just need to write down the 226. And we'll take that to 550 just to test it. Okay, yeah, that takes him down to a 2.15 ERA and a 373 strikeout pitcher. So you can see how much the game weights having a good changeup. It can even turn Kevin Brown, a control pitcher, into like a strikeout machine. We saw it do it with Jamie Moyer too. Now it's not just that I like strikeouts. I think it was also the quickest path to dropping their ERA and making them into a more effective pitcher too. So that's why I liked it. And I think for let's try one more thing. Let's see if we take the overall movement. So 389, 393. Now this is a guy where we're leaving money on the table with this, but what happens if we max this out? Yeah, that helps it marginally. The ERA is down to 3.55, but the Ks haven't changed, the walks haven't changed. It's just the home run allowed have gone down to 1. But he wasn't a big home run allowed guy anyway, so that's not going to help us. It took away 19 home runs, but the changeup added 230 strikeouts. So I think like that's a no-brainer on the math there. The only thing we haven't looked at is the bullpen. So Kenny Rogers is closing at that time. I know at one point he was a starter too. Let's look at his career. Actually, we can see when that change happened. Real life stats. Yeah, you can see all these games started after he leaves the Rangers. Or no, actually, even while with the Rangers, they converted him into a starter in '93. This is where recalc can bite you too. If you're doing a season sim, um, and you think, oh, I've got this great lefty Kenny Rogers in the bullpen, and in 1992, he's pitching a 10 out of the bullpen for you. You make plans around that, and you forget that the next year he's going to recalc into a starter. Well, he's going to be a terrible, terrible bullpen pitcher now because he's going to have starter stamina, starters fatigue. So it's more of a problem on the batter side, like when your shortstop turns into a center fielder or your second baseman turns into a first baseman. But I think it can be a problem here too. Anyway, that's just a quick note on recalc. All right, so all right, let's make our final decisions here. Let's start with the batters because I know there's some batters we want to mess with. Um, See, guys like Julio Franco, let's go to batting ratings. Not pitching ratings for the batters, batters ratings for the batters. There we go. Okay, so do we want to shore up anywhere where there's red or yellow? I think we've already decided Pete Incaviglia, right? You give him some avoid K, he's gonna be great. Um, Espy or Pettis, do we want to give them some I? Give yourself a real good leadoff batter. Um, Actually, I'm surprised Pettis' I is so high. Oh no, that's right. His on base percentage OPS plus was decent. It's his contact is low, and his contact is low because his oh interesting. His avoid K is low. Do we see that in his stats? Oh yeah, he's a leadoff guy with 100 strikeouts. Okay, so you get a true leadoff guy by taking his avoid K down. You turn Incaviglia into a 330, 130 guy by taking his avoid K up. Um, where else do we want to work here? I mean, Julio Franco is already a pretty well all around hitter. You could maybe make him into, he's like a 350. I think of him as like a 310, 320 guy, but 13 home runs. What if you turn him into a 320 guy with 45 home runs? Right? We could maybe do that. Um, I feel like it's a little wasted on the catchers because they have to take so many days off. But you've got a Gino Petrelli here. You can add power and shore up that 30 power. I don't necessarily know you want to take like a Jeff Houston, your starting shortstop, and try to turn him into a power guy or an average guy. And Harold Baines is actually already pretty good. All right, so I think. Oh, Pettis isn't even. Wait, how is Pettis not starting, but he had 100 strikeouts? What did I miss there? In 1990, he plays 136 games for almost 500 plate appearances and 100 strikeouts. But he's not in the starting lineup, either VL or VR. Is that right? Oh no, here he is. He starts versus lefties in center field. Oh, so he's platooning with Espy. Espy bats last versus righties, and Pettis bats fifth versus lefty. So is he that splitty? To me, he's not that splitty. Is it the SB is that splitty? Maybe that's the problem. Maybe SB's super splitty. Yeah. No, he's not that splitty. I mean, he's actually worse contact. He's better contact versus lefties, better eye versus righties. To me, he's like a neutral. I'm further trying to get his glove into the game, but I mean, I think if we boost Pettis, SB just becomes a defensive sub, which is fine. All right, so let me go back to this. Bobby Witt's going to get a killer knuckleball. Um, do we give Nolan control or a changeup? Or I don't know. Well, his stuff is already top notch. I actually think we're going to end up leaving Nolan Ryan alone, which is kind of a bummer. But like we leave so many points on the table if we improve him versus improving Kevin Brown, changeup, and Jamie Moyer, changeup. And so we're going to transform most of the rotation. I think in a 160 game season, that's all you need. And in the playoffs, frankly, you only need three. And so maybe one of them moves to the bullpen. And speaking of the bullpen, do we use a fifth pitcher spot on Kenny Rogers? Well, Charlie Huff, I'm assuming he's going to come out of the pen and send one of these other pitchers back to the. Well, okay, hold on. We're going to have Nolan Ryan, Bobby Witt, Kevin Brown, Jamie Moyer, and Charlie Huff. So we have actually too many starters we've improved. So, I mean, Charlie Huff's knuckleball, I've never seen an ERA that low after maxing out a pitch like that. So he's got to stay on this list. I think it's a question of do we boost Kevin Brown or Jamie Moyer? Well, Moyer's a lefty. So maybe, unfortunately, Kevin Brown gets left off then. And then, what do we want to do with Kenny Rogers? Now, this is unusual for a reliever. He's got 5 quality pitches, and one of them is a changeup. Now, we'll be leaving lots of points on the table, but we know what can happen if we max that out. Um, let's just show you from 405 to 550. Yeah, so ERA drops to 0.74. Way more than if we take his control. Let me write this down so I don't screw it up. 388, 384. Man, it's baffling to me. You give someone world class control, and it still does not help their ERA more than just giving them a killer changeup. But like we're deciphering how the game works. Um, what happens if we give him a slider? I mean, I think of a slider as an out pitch. Man, it is still not as effective as giving him a knee buckling changeup, which is fascinating to me. Is that the same for the curveball? No, the curveball does more. What about the sinker? 450, 456. Yeah, nowhere near as much. For every one of these pitchers, it's the changeup that makes the difference. Actually, it's given me a bit of mind to revisit Bobby Witt. How bad does your control have to be before the control is more important than fixing your changeup? All right, so he's got a 416 changeup. Holy cow. Let me write this down. 416. I almost forgot what it was. I was so shocked. Okay, look at his stat line 117 walks and 277 K. You change this change up to 550. He's still going to give up 107. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Hercules. Welcome to the stream. I'm playing this game I used to play called Raise the Floor, Raise the Roof, Raise the Floor, where I took 100 points in the old game, which is 220 now, and let myself add it anywhere. Well, I used to add it to like control and stuff. I'm finding now that, and it was probably like this in the old game, I just never thought to do it. If you add it to the changeup, it turns every pitcher into like Bob Gibson plus. So check this out. This is amazing. Oh, you've been lurking. Okay, so you've seen it. So check out this. I was worried about Bobby Witt's control, right? So if I change the control, it takes his ERA down to like the twos. But if I take his 416, you remember this is one of my ideas? Yeah, I used to play this. But I never played. I always played with the fastball, and it never did much. So I usually end up doing control and movement. But if I take this changeup from 416, I'm leaving a ton of points on the table. Change it to 550. He still walks 117 batters, but now he strikes out 591 for a 119 opponent average. Now his whip's still going to be high because that's still a lot of walks, but his ERA is going to be 0.83, 0.87 FIP, and a 17.6 WAR. I mean, this is almost like a cheat code. Maxing out the changeup is like a cheat code. It turns all your pitchers into Bob Gibson plus. So I actually think this makes the game less fun because all the pitchers are just be too devastating. Um, so the I'm gonna play it like this. I'm gonna change their changeups, but I think what I'm gonna find is that's too good of a boost, and so either that 220 has to be nerfed when you translate it into adjusting a pitch, or you can improve any pitch except the changeup. And this is I'm learning a lot about the game tonight. I didn't realize how much weight the game puts on the changeup. That is really interesting to me. So yeah, Bobby Witt, you're not getting a control improvement. You are getting a changeup improvement because I want to see that crazy stat line with 117 walks and almost 600 strikeouts. That's like dead ball era, but they didn't even get that many strikeouts in dead ball era, so I don't even know what that is. Um, okay, now that's going to change what I'm thinking here because so Gumberkuli says you'll have to remember that when you trade for players in the base game, look for a good changeup. Yeah, yeah, that's another way to think about it. That's right. Um, yeah, or a good changeup potential, right? You get a kid who's not fully developed but has that killer changeup coming. You might get yourself a bargain there. That's a good way to think about it, Gumberkules. I hadn't thought of that. All right, so that's going to change things now because in the regular season, and you know what the crazy thing is? I think we're going to end up leaving Nolan Ryan exactly like he is because he's already so damn good. But what the heck happens if you give Nolan Ryan a 550 changeup? I'm, ass- I'm assuming he's got a changeup in his arsenal here. Let's check it out. Oh, he's got a circle change. Interesting. Yeah, God mode Ryan. Look at it. He's already unchanged. 194, 271. 326K. I mean, this is the profile I thought Bobby Witt had a chance to get if he could get some control. 89 walks is still a lot, but not compared to 326 strikeouts. Um, but let's check it out. I'm gonna jot down his circle change is 485. I'm assuming the game is going to treat the circle change like the change, but let's see. 550 that. 554 strikeouts. 0.126 average, 0.80 ERA, 15.3 WAR. And look at all the points we left on the table. This was 485. So we just added 65 points. We left 155 points on the table, and you still get God mode Ryan. And I love Nolan Ryan, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to leave points on the table just to make him killer. I cannot resist doing this. Nolan Ryan, your circle change is going to be maxed out. And it looks like we have a variety here: change up, knuckleball, change up, circle change, but they're all speed pitches. All right, now that also means here's what I like about this. When you get the postseason, you only need a three-man rotation, right? So we're gonna have God mode Ryan, killer Bobby Witt, killer Jamie Moyer, killer Charlie Huff maybe goes back into the bullpen in the postseason. So I guess the only question is, do we need a God mode Kenny Rogers to close it out? I'd hate for these pitchers to turn it over to the bullpen and Kenny Rogers blows it. So he's got a changeup. 405. Let's make it to 550. 253 average, 396 ERA, 137 average, 0.74 ERA. I think we got to do it. So Kenny Rogers. Now, what happens if we do his sinker? Oops. Okay, this actually happens in the old version of the game too, where you fat finger something and it takes you all the way back out. And it was super annoying then, and it's super annoying now. All right, 456 sinker. Let's max that. Yeah, look at that. It makes a dent, but not nearly the same dent. All right, Hercules, you learned something with me tonight. The game loves the changeup. And when you max that thing out, you become an otherworldly pitcher. And this is a guy with 87, 89 miles per hour velocity. And he was going to log 180 strikeouts in 80 some innings, two strikeouts an inning, throwing sub 90. I mean, at this point, I got to go see Greg Maddux. It might have been when he was still with the Cubs. Yeah, there's Greg Maddux. I mean, we know what he becomes. I think he's still a double digit game loser at this stage. Circle change 323. So if we take this to 550, yeah, 415 strikeout, Greg Maddux. That's crazy. And I'm sure in reality they take him up to like 500 or something. That's still too many strikeouts, but that's closer to reality for him. Man, there's some inflection point in the 500s where that changeup just takes over the game. All right, so this is good. I'm figuring out how to nerf my own rules in this new game, and now that I'm messing with the pitches. I think the easiest way to probably do it is to say you can't change the changeup. But for this demonstration, we're going to do it. We're going to see what we can do here. All right, I want to go back to the Rangers. And so Kenny Rogers, you're going to get a changeup. You get a changeup, and you get a changeup. Kenny Rogers, changeup. Okay, so that means we can improve 5 batters. All right. I was really surprised to see Gary Pettis needed an avoid K adjustment. It never occurred to me. In my mind, he's not like a free swinging strikeout guy, but for a leadoff hitter, he strikes out way too much. All right, so we know for sure Incaviglia and Pettis are getting avoid K treatments. And so is Gary Pettis. Okay, I'm tempted to do something with Julio Franco, but I don't know that he has a hole in his profile that, I mean, I guess we give Franco God power. We make him like a 320 hitting King Kong. Right. I mean, here's his history: 319, all like low 300s. Let's see what happens if we take his power up. Okay, so his power numbers are 334. So we would use up all the points. 334 and 349. Right, let's just see what happens when we max these out. Your average will go up too because you're adding home runs, you're adding hits where you weren't getting hits before. Whoa! He becomes Barry Bonds. 362 average, 70 home runs, 1235 OPS. Oh, okay. That is worth doing. All right, Julio Franco, you are getting power, and you are becoming the second base Barry Bonds. Or do we want to give that power to more of a scrubby player because Julio Franco is already good? That's, I think, the dilemma. I mean, Palmero's already good. What happens if you do it to Jeff Houston? Yeah, which player though? Right, right. If you think about like this is where you're raising the floor, right? Like with Franco, you're kind of raising the roof. You're taking a good hitter and making him a superhero. Jeff Houston, you're taking weak power and giving him like decent power. Uh, but let's see what happens. All right, he's a 347, 629 OPS guy. Look at this power, 76, 76. So all we're doing him is boosting him into like major leaguer level. He won't even be league average because you can see league average over here is 380, 387. 296 is the highest we go, 296. So he just becomes a 10 home run guy. It's just wasted on him. Oh, sorry, screen. You're right. So over here you can see league average. I took him up to the max I could from 76, 76 to 296, 296. It doesn't even get in the league average. He's still a 40 rating and he only hits 10 home runs. So that's wasted on him, right? He goes from a 25 to a 40. He goes from one home run to 10. That's a waste. Whereas Franco, we went from 15 home runs to 70. Incaviglia, we're already taking away the avoid K. So we're done there. Pettis, we're taking away avoid K. I mean, Harold Baines, he's already good, but like, what can we do with him? He's already a 24 home run guy, 287, decent eye, 77 walks. I mean, the one thing we could do is his avoid K. I mean, I don't think gap power is worth the money or worth the points. Let's see what happens when we take up his avoid K, I guess. 336 and 382. I just want to be able to return him to where he was. So we'll change this to 550 and 550. He becomes a 342 hitter, 948 OPS. I still don't think that's worth it. I mean, the original Harold Baines, I mean, granted, we're losing 60 points of batting average, but he's still a serviceable hitter. So I think we either want to create, I think we just want to see, like, where can we create these superheroes? Yeah, still not as much result as Franco. Agreed. I mean, should we see what happens when we do Palmero? Is he going to hit 100 home runs? We could give him an eye, but I mean, more walks is not. We'll leave money on the table. We'll leave points on the table, but we could max out his power. This season, he only hit 14 home runs, so it might be worth it. I think it'd be another Franco situation. So 395, 378. All right, let's see. I'm assuming it's going to be like 70-ish again, like with Franco. Yeah, 70 bombs, 389, 12 set. I mean, I'm not opposed to having two Barry Bondses. Okay, so Palmero and Franco, Pettis, Incaviglia. You could do one more. With Incaviglia, I'm going to check avoid K versus adding even more power. Let's just let's just test that with him real quick. I turned the screen back to work at least this time on my own. Thank you for your help. The other times I kept forgetting to do it. Um, let's go back to the lineups. Let's go back to Incaviglia. Okay, I'm always obsessed with his terrible strikeout rate. So to me, like the void case is a natural. We're already almost maxed out. We're close to the max on power anyway, but let me see if we crank it up. He's at 426, 444. I learned my lesson from the changeup thing. Like maybe there's something above the 500 threshold where it's actually gonna be like a big inflection point or something. It seems to like, is it just nerfing them at 70? It's, excuse me. Hold on, I'm gonna sip of water. All right. Sorry, I put you on mute so I can cough a bit and have some water. What if we take these back? Hmm, 426. Hold on a second. Hold on. All right, you might hear some clicking of a cough drop in my teeth, but it's better than hearing you cough. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna take the avoid K back or the power back to 426, 444, and do the avoid K again. 302, 287. No, oh, no, I can't max it out, but I'm going to try maxing out just to see what happens. See, 305, 27 home runs. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't we rather have a 287, 70 home run guy than a 27 home run, 305 guy? I'm actually thinking, even though he's already high power, we max out Incaviglia's power. Now, I do think with Gary Pettis, the avoid K might be the way to go. Partly because he doesn't have the power to boost to 70 home run level, and also because we want a good leadoff hitter. And the main thing keeping Pettis from being a good leadoff hitter are those strikeouts. So let's just test that out real quick. And then I think we're ready to go. Okay, he's 227. Yeah, this is so low. He's barely going to be league average power, which means if we're lucky, like 15, 20 home runs. Whereas if we fix his avoid K, I want that OPS to come up. So 301, 287. If we take this up, let's watch his OPS 329, 406. Yeah, I agree. Good Berkeley's um, avoid K is better for him. Oh shoot! It did that thing again. Go on. Okay, so we have. I think we have our menu of choices here. Oh wait, we have one more to do. Gary Pass is getting avoid K. Let's go look at that lineup again. Aspie's getting benched as a defensive center fielder now. Pettis is going to start against both at leadoff. We're going to have a heart of the order hitting 70 bombs each of Franco, Incaviglia, Palmera. Oh, Ruben Sierra could be a stud. Or Gino Petrali, although I hate wasting on a catcher. Let's see what we can do with Ruben Sierra, because this guy's already good. Oh, but his power is only 3.8 only. Only 3.8. It's league average. So 278, 761 is his average in OPS. And I'm going to jot down his power numbers right now 389, 407. They are high enough that we can max them out. So let's try maxing them out. 70 bombs, 347, 1176. Not as powerful, not as complete an OPS as the others, but I mean, close enough. Okay, so I think we got it. It's new Ruben Sierra. And then everyone's going to have to fill in around them, but I mean, the Giants filled in around one Barry Bonds and did fine. I think these Rangers can fill in around basically four Barry Bondses and a world class leadoff hitter after Gary Pettis stopped striking out. I almost wrote Barry Bonds, but I meant to write Ruben Sierra. He's going to get power. Okay. All right, we've got our formula. So now let's make the changes and then we'll do the sim. It's real nice doing a sim without having to do an import for a change. Okay, so let's start with the pitchers. All right. I'll go in the word order I wrote them down. Bobby Witt Jr. or Bobby Witt Sr. Contrary to what I first thought, you are not getting control. You can be wild as you want with your knee buckling changeup. Congratulations. Your changeup is going from 416 to a max 550. Hey, Gil Berkeley's, were you on earlier when I found if you go to 551, it wraps around back to zero, basically? See, this 550 changeup takes this changeup rating to a 90. Yeah, watch this. This is great. Changeup 550, 90 view rating. You see that view rating? That's like the scale of eight. Scale is 20 to 80, right? He's beyond the scale. Now watch if I take it up to 551, he goes back down to a 35. So it's like the game doesn't know what to do when you get above 500. It goes back to zero. Yeah, wow, that's what I said. I was like, because my understanding was always that you can, and maybe that changed after they switched it from 250. When it was 250, my understanding was like you could go to 258 or 259 and it would just go like beyond, just like this rating goes to 90 now. But yeah, if you go 1 point above, it takes you back down to zero, essentially zero. Um, okay, so we're just changing one number on him. And just to be complete, like we'll take his potential up to 548 too. Okay, we're just adding 220 to his changeup, basically, current and potential. All right, so Bobby Witt's done. Our next pitcher on the list is Charlie Huff, who's in the bullpen right now. He is going to get a superhero knuckleball. 338, so we can max it out. 550. Look at that. 0.097 average, 0.81 ERA. What I do like about the stat line is, I mean, from the bullpen, it is still crazy 218, but it doesn't seem as like cartoonish as the others. Maybe that'll change when he moves from the bullpen into the rotation, but and we'll take his potential up to yeah, 550. He's maxing it out. All right, Charlie Huff, you're done. Next, Jamie Moyer. Let's show everyone what a junk ball pitcher can do when their changeup is perfect. That's really what it is, right? A 550 changeup is saying you have a perfect changeup. And he barely can, yeah, we can max him out. Absolutely. He's leaving just a few points. He doesn't get the max potential though. 530 on the potential. Although I'm sure he'll have no complaints about that. All right. And I do think it's weird though. The game equates a, a perfect changeup to that many more strikeouts. I guess the thinking must be that it makes the fastball that much more effective. Nolan Ryan, as good as you are, we are gonna tinker with you too. We are gonna give you We're going to leave so many points on the table for you, but it doesn't matter because you're going to be so good. Point 0.8 ERA good. All right. Leaving over 100 points on the table. He's that good. And Kenny Rogers. Oh, I spelled his name with a D. He has no D. Ha! He has no D. That's not what I meant. All right, your change up. Yep, we're leaving points on the table with you too. Oh, his potential though only goes to 483. So that's what he said though. You have no D. I did say that. Actually, let me go change that right now as we move on to the batters. Let me fix that real quick here. All right, Kenny Rogers. Like I said, you have no D. Okay. Now on to the batters. This is going to be fun. All right, you're up first, Pete Incaviglia. We're just going to max out your power. And you have plenty of power, so we'll have points to spare for you also. 550, 550, 550. Oh, look at that stat line. I'm sure one of these, or more than one, maybe is going to hit more than 70. For some reason, it's seeming to just nerf everyone at 70. All right, who's next? Gary Pettis. You're getting the Avoid K treatment. The only one. You should feel special. And we can't quite max you out here because you're so bad at this. So we'll take you to 521 and 509. And let's take your potential up to 536. Okay, but look at the leadoff batter you become. 305, 398 OPS. That's going to help you with your stolen bases too. Okay. And then Julio Franco. Him I like because he's going to have the high average and the high home runs. All right, you're going to get the power treatment too. Oh, look at that. He leaves 4 points on the table. All right. Yeah, it's maxing everyone at 70. So there must be some artificial like clip or it's cutting it off at 70. All right, Rafael Palmeiro. You don't need your PEDs for this one. We're going to do it the natural way, meaning in the computer. Max you out at 550, 550, 550. All right. And Ruben Sierra. Wasn't Franco? I gotta look it up. I think he was playing like into his 50s in like independent leagues and stuff. Well, he played in the majors until he was 49. If we add all levels combined, I think he plays even longer. Oh, just till he's 50. 50-year-old in AAA hitting 250. That's awesome. What a dude. He must have had so much fun. Editor, you're gonna have even more fun now with your newfound power stroke. Oh, we did Franco already. Okay. Oh yeah, I was just talking about Franco when I was talking about Ruben Sierra. There he is. There's old Ruben. Had to scroll down a bit for him. Already so good. Yeah, we can max you out. Leaving points on the table. All right. Now, let's see what the pitching coach wants to do with the rotation. Yep, he puts Huff in the rotation. Kenny Rogers is still closing. Perfect. Great. Let's let him manage the lineup. I'm assuming, let's predict here. Pettis is going to lead off both VRV left. And then the only question is he going to stick some fast, light hitting two-hole hitter like they did in the 80s and 90s, or is he going to go straight to lead off power, power, power? Let's see what he decides. Yep, Pettis, and then power, power, power. Your pitcher, you got to get facing Buechel, Russell, and Kunkel. So that's weird. Is the AL? Oh, okay. They have non-DH lineups probably for the World Series, but I should be looking over here at the DH lineups. Yeah, it's still going power, power, power. Then you hit Baines after our 70 home run guys. So that's still a good bat in Baines. And then you hit Buechel, Russell, and Kunkel. Okay. I like it. All right, I'm going to save this sim here and then we're going to run it. All right, let me make sure everything's set up properly. Injuries off. Nope, they're still on. Injuries off. League settings. I didn't have to monkey with the team name or anything this time, which is nice. Importance of All-Star game and popular in All-Star game voting? None. Pitchers do not win this MVP award. And historical trades are off already. I know that. And then we don't want to be disturbed, but we don't want to use do not disturb. So we're going to do that. And then I think we're good to go. Oh, yeah, I need to clean up the mailbox a little bit. Okay. So, hey, Cheeky, welcome in, man. Oh, Twins in there too. All right. How was your stream? I didn't see what you're doing. I think you were still on starting soon screen when I was starting up. So what we did here is it's a game I used to play in old versions of OOTP called Perfect Timing 2 because we're about to start the sim. Raise the roof, raise the floor, where I used to give myself 100 points in the old game. That's 220 points now to improve 9 or 10 players on a roster. And what we ended up doing was, and it's called Raise the Roof, Raise the Floor, because I would usually end up either increasing something they're already really good at, like power or contact, or increase something they're really bad at to kind of like balance them out. Like for Bobby Witt Sr., who was a power pitcher but had terrible control, I assumed I was going to increase his control. But what we found, Gumbercules was here during this, so he got to see the discovery, which was pretty fun. You're way better off giving your pitchers good off-speed pitches like knuckleballs and changeups, which turns them into devastating pitchers, like sub-1 ERA pitchers. So instead of Bobby Witt Jr. getting control, he got a changeup. Charlie Huff got a knuckleball. Jamie Moyer got a changeup. Nolan Ryan, who's already almost like god level anyway, we maxed out his circle change. Kenny Rogers got a changeup. And the batters, everyone got power. Pete Incaviglia, Julio Franco, Rafael Palmeiro, Ruben Sierra, except for Gary Pettis, who I didn't realize till we really looked at him. He was a leadoff hitter who struck out over 130 times. So we gave him a void K, so he could set the table for these big bashers now. So that's where we're at. You're all caught up. We did use editor, so if you want to learn how to use editor, you can watch the VOD. But those are the changes we made in editor. So let's go back to the game. I was just kind of fixing some of the settings so we don't get interrupted. And I think let's go ahead and watch the first game. We'll do highlights, and then we'll sim the season. Let's go to the first game. It's going to set up the season real quick. Well, it's setting up Twins Cheeky. Anyone want to let us in on what you guys were working on over there? Okay, we're going to hide scores. And you had to remake the 85 Padres League again? Oh, bummer. Did we do something wrong? So Twins and I helped Cheeky set up an 85 Padres save that Cheeky's going to do multiple seasons. And I thought we had helped him set it up right, but they had to do it again. So I wonder what happened. Maybe we gave him some bad advice the first time. Well, Twins, thanks for being there to help him. Somehow when you created import real minor leagues was unchecked. That seems weird because I think I remember even doing a little spiel on like why that was important. That like your players who are developing are going to come out of there, so you need to have that. Well, stranger things have happened, but I'm glad you guys got that sorted out. Yeah. So for those of you doing season sims or franchise sims, when you set up the league, you have to have minor leagues checked. Otherwise, all the future major leaguers you're expecting, some will come in the draft, but a bunch of them should already be in your minors, especially like deep A ball. And if you don't have that, you're gonna a few years down the road, you'll be like, where is this player? Where is that player? It's because you didn't bring them in with the minors, and the draft can't make up for it. There's gonna be a big gap in your talent pool. I'm glad you guys caught that early, though. All right, so we're in scores. Oh, here we go. All right, so we'll quick play it, and then we'll watch the highlights. Oh, we're playing the Blue Jays. Okay, we've already got no outs. Wait a second. AI leading off Julio Franco now? Oh no, Gary Pettis is already on second. Look at that. That new avoid K is paying off already. Twins is saying here, and the draft will end up bringing them in when they join MLB instead. So they might be 24, 25, or 26 instead of 20 or 21. Oh, I did not realize that. Is there any way to prevent that from happening? Because that's kind of a bummer. Oh, I didn't realize that was the case. I see. If you don't have minors on. Oh, right. Because there's nowhere for them to develop. No, for sure. Yeah, you have to have minors on. Minor leagues on, to be clear. All right, so Gary Pettis on second. Our avoid K strategy already paying off. Julio Franco's at bat. We think with it. Oh, look at this. His power rating is a 95 on a scale to 80. So who knows what that's going to turn into? And a line drive into right field. Still playing small ball with that 95 power. And that scores Pettis. Franco's on second. We got Peter Gavilia with also 95 power. We were going to play with his avoid K, but why do that when he can just go yard? The first of many to come this season for Pete Incaviglia. Makes it a 3-0 game. And it looks like the game's advancing us to the top of the fourth for Toronto. We are up 3-0, top of the fourth. Once you count no outs for John Olerud. Facing Nolan Ryan with his snazzy, perfect circle changeup, but that's gone. Well, considering his projected ERA, you're not allowed any more runs, Toronto. Bottom of the fifth for Texas. 2 outs, 2-2 count for Harold Baines. Harold Baines did not get any kind of treatment here, so we'll see what he can do. And the unimproved Harold Baines goes yard. Not to be left out. 3-run shot that increases the lead 6-1. Hey, we should all guess how many wins this team's going to get. The perfect changeup, perfect circle change. Nolan Ryan still on the mound, working on a 1-run, 1-hitter. 125 from Gumbercules. I think you're pretty close. I'm going to say, yeah, I can't go against that. They still have enough human players that I don't think they can hit 130. Yeah, I'm thinking 127, 128, something like that. All right, we got Junior Felix up facing our even better Nolan Ryan, if that's possible. Oh, look at this. It's into the gap, and it is gone. What? Junior Felix. All right, 6-2, top of the ninth. When the AI does this, it's usually giving up 2 outs. When it goes straight to the last inning with 2 outs, that's usually a sign of game over. Olerud on first. Nolan Ryan's looking for a complete game here. And that's a lazy fly ball to center. And squeeze for the out. All right, that's a 6-2 win to start the season. Twins, Cheeky, you guys want to guess, or should we go straight to the sim? I don't know. Berkeley's, you want to see another? That one's kind of short. I kind of wouldn't mind seeing another. Let's go the next day. Oh, sweet. We might have a different team to play too. Or do I just need to scroll up? Oh, do we not have a game this day? Guess not. Okay, so let's go the next day. Oh, the next game was the 5th against the Blue Jays. So we were opening day and then we had a day off. Wait, what happened here? What? Why is it not showing? What? Did it take me off of the score screen again? Oh, yeah, it did. That's weird. All right, let's quick play this and watch some highlights. All right, this is, we're facing Dave Steeb. Gary Pettis on first, top of the, bottom of the third. 95 power Julio Franco facing a pretty good Dave Steeb. Oh, that's a shallow fly ball to right field. A pop up to second base, actually. Did he drop it? Oh my goodness, he dropped it. Man, when you give this lineup a second chance, poor Dave Steeb. Here comes Rafael Palmeiro, 70 contact, 95 power on an 80 scale. And he struck him out. Where is Lap when he should be seeing this? All right, Jeff Kunkel now facing the part of the order that he can get out. He might be able to get out of this jam. Ground ball to third. Barehanded and thrown to first. Gets out of the inning. Great job by Dave Steeb. All right, our now this is interesting. When we improved Bobby Witt's changeup, his wildness didn't change. So he's projected to have over 500 strikeouts, but also still over 117 walks. So it'll be really interesting to see how his season turns out. But he's got George Bell on first, Mookie Wilson at bat. Oh, Mookie Wilson squares the bunt down the third base line. Throw to first is not in time. Bunt base hit. That brings up Manny Lee with no outs still. This might be a bunt too. Nope, it's the line shallow fly ball to center field. Runner goes back but does not tag. That'll be one out. 3-1 count for Tony Fernandez. Now we did not help his control, so this might end up being a walk here. Yep, walks the bases loaded. This is playing out as expected. He's going to strike out a bunch of batters, even more than normal, but he's still going to walk a ton. So let's see what happens. One out. Shallow fly ball to center field. It might score the runner on third. Good throw to home, and it holds him to the cutoff man. Nice job. So that's basically loaded with 2 outs. 3-2 count. This can go either way. It could be the dominant changeup getting the strikeout, or the lacking control getting a walk here. Kelly Gruber strikes out swinging. There's a whole new Bobby Witt out there this season. All right, Steve Palmeiro on first. 65 contact, 95 power. Pete Incaviglia comes to bat. Line drive to left field. It's another base hit. Runner into third. It's the speedy Rafael Palmeiro into third. All right, Ruben Sierra up first and third. 2 out. 1-0 count. Ground ball to third. Gets him at first. Ends the inning scoreless. Man, Dave Steve getting out of the jam with these 95 power hitters. Unbelievable. All right, Bobby Witt now facing Fred McGriff. 3-2 count. This can go either way. Oh, and it's lined to left field for a base hit. All right, McGriff's on first. Pat Borders up. 2-2 count this time. And that's a swinging strikeout. Can I mouse over Bobby Witt and see what his stats are so far? Because it's his first start, I can see that he's got wait. How does he have 7 2/3 innings already? That's weird. How does he have a loss already? That's really weird. I don't know how that happened. All right. Did he somehow pitch in relief 2 days ago? That's a single in right field. Throw to third. Oh, they had him. And then they dropped it. Rolls into the dugout. Run scores. All right. The Rangers are down 1-0. Bottom of the seventh. Full count for our revamped Gary Pettis. Man, he walks. Good avoid K. All right, Franco's up. No outs. 2-2 count. And it's a lazy fly ball to left field. So it's going to have to go back to first. Here goes Palmeiro. Dave Steve is just getting out of these jams. Ground ball to first. That's going to be a double play. Man, Dave Steve against this juiced up lineup. Still pitching a shutout. All right. Pat Borders 1 out against Bobby Witt. Line drive into left field. That's another base hit. Here comes George Bell. That's a deep shot into left field. On his horse, over his head, off the wall. It's going to be extra bases for sure. Might score a runner. And because of the camera work, I can't tell what's happening. Did they score? They did score. 2-0. Mookie Wilson batting left-handed, switch hitter. Now we're into the unchanged bullpen now, so this might be trouble. All right, it's 3-0. Dave Steve still in control here, bottom of the eighth. facing 95 power Pete Incaviglia. And another line drive single from Incaviglia. He's been driving the ball, just not deep. Here comes Ruben Sierra. Lazy fly ball to left. Caught with no problem. Runner's going to have to hold. And Tom Hankey's in the game now. Bottom of the ninth. One out for our unimproved Jack Doherty. Pinch hitting. Ooh, that's base hit down the right field line. In for a double. Yeah, RNG wins. All right, Franco got on base, so it's first and second for Palmeiro. 2 outs in a 2-2 count. Oh, look at that. Dave Steve gets the win. Tom Hankey gets the save against our juiced up Texas Rangers. Unbelievable. Someone tell Lap. Dave Steve is a RNG hero. That is a tough loss for this team. I don't think anyone was expecting that. Wow. A shutout. 4 batters with 95 power. And Dave Steve and Tom Hankey shut us out. It kind of goes to show you how good they were. Yeah, I'll send him a link to the VOD. Or maybe I'll just clip it. I have to learn how to clip stuff anyway, so maybe I'll do that. All right, well, let's go into standings mode and we'll sim out the season. I said 127, 128 wins. I'm feeling a little shaky about that now, but let's see what happens. We'll go ahead and do the rest of April. Oh, we did jump up to the top of the. Oh, look at that. We're in second now in the West. Top of the West. The White Sox giving us a run for their money. All right, some achievements. Pitcher of the month, Bobby Witt. Bat of the month, Pete Incaviglia. Rafael Palmeiro, 9-game run streak. We had a team winning streak of 9. Player of the week, Pete Incaviglia. We had 4 different streaks here. The 2 that we can see are 6 consecutive strikeouts by Charlie Huff and 6 consecutive strikeouts by Charlie Huff. And then Pete Incaviglia had a 4-game home run streak. We are top of the AL West, best record in the AL, and best record. Oh, tied with the Expos for the best record in the majors. All right, let's do another month. Or let's just go to. Yeah, let's do another month. You can see on the left, any yellow ink on the AL leaders is our team. We've got a lot of leaders right there. Okay, we're starting to pull away a bit. Charlie Huff gets career strikeout 2000. 9 consecutive strikeouts by Charlie Huff. 8 consecutive strikeouts by Bobby Witt. 9 in a row. That's a whole lineup. He struck out a whole lineup. That's awesome. 11-game shutdown streak by Kenny Rogers. 9-game RBI streak by Ruben Sierra. 20-game hitting streak by Ruben Sierra. And a 7-game extra base hit streak by Rafael Palmeiro. Man, 9 strikeout streak by Charlie Huff. All right, we are tops in the AL West, tops in the AL, and tops in the majors. All right, let's go do the announcement of the All-Star teams. Oh, we have the top 3 in batting average. And with Palmeiro and Incaviglia, they're top 2 in batting average. We did not change their uh, BABIP or Avoid K. We just boosted their power. And so what's doing is that's adding home runs, which are hits, to their stat line, which they didn't have before, and that's juicing their batting average. Oh, these are gold accomplishments. I haven't seen these. A 50-game on-base streak by Harold Baines. That's amazing. It's a third of a season. Our team won a 17-game winning streak. Pete Incaviglia was the highest vote getter. 40-game on-base streak by Ruben Sierra, and 11-game quality start streak by Charlie Huff. All right, let's check out the All-Star voting results. AL fan voting results. No catcher. First base, Rafael Palmeiro. Second base, Julio Franco. Third base, none of our shortstop, no one on our team. Left field, Pete Incaviglia, which we know is the leading overall vote getter. Gary Pettis, number one in center field. Ruben Sierra, number one in right field. Harold Baines, unimproved, number two at DH. Somehow Brett Saberhagen, D block, got more All-Star votes than our juiced up pitching staff, with Nolan Ryan, Bobby Witt, and Charlie Huff coming second, third, and fourth. And our Kenny Rogers did not make the top five relievers. All right, I'm gonna copy this and paste it into a notepad. Okay, and then let's look at actual All-Star rosters. Huff, Moore, Ryan, and Witt were all chosen. That's four. Palmero voted in, Franco voted in, Incaviglia voted in, Pettis voted in, Ruben Sierra voted in. Say Harold Baines did not make it, unfortunately, probably because we already took up 9 spots. So, bummer. We did cost Harold Baines an all-star spot because he was the number 2 vote getter at DH, but I'm sure they had to make room for players for other teams too. Okay. So let's watch the home run contest. Home run challenge. We might have some entrance into this thing. We sure do. Pete Incaviglia versus Ryan Sandberg. Ruben Sierra versus Cal Daniels, who had a great card versus righties last year, or PT 24. Jose Canseco versus Julio Franco. That'll be a good showdown. And then Kelly Gruber versus Cecil Fielder. So only 3 of our juiced up batters made it. That's interesting. All right, let's finish the current round. Incaviglia advances, Sierra advances, Franco advances, and Cecil Fielder advances. I'm actually surprised all 3 of our guys made it. And it's Incaviglia and Franco. It's going to be Ranger on Ranger here. Let's see what happens. Congratulations to Julio Franco. Nice. Let me screenshot that. All right. Finish with that. Oh, I don't think it screenshot the thing I wanted. So let me go back to that. Let me screenshot this again. Okay, there we go. It did get it. Okay. For some reason, it screenshots this too. So let's sim to the All-Star game. And I just want to see if any of our players got in. So let's just quick play it. Darryl Strawberry, 3 for 4 for the NL. Bo Jackson, 1 for 1 with a home run. Only run of the game for our team. And Len Dexter, 1 for 1 with a double RBI and a run. So we lost 5-1. The only run came from a Bo Jackson home run. So that means our players did not contribute any power. So let's see what happened here. Franco, 1 for 3. Pettis, 1 for 3. Palmero, 0 for 3, 3 left on base. Incaviglia, 0 for 3 with 1 left on base. Ruben Sierra, 2 for 3. Looks like Jamie Moyer pitched. That might be the real Jamie Moyer, though, not our Jamie Moyer. Which Jamie Moyer is that? Oh, it is our Jamie Moyer. Okay. Oh yeah, there would be. I'm so used to taking over teams and bringing in players from other years, but there is only one Jamie Moyer in this season, and it's ours. So Nolan Ryan started, had 1 inning and 2 strikeouts. Jamie Moyer came in 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 strikeout, and that's it for our team. So I think we performed pretty well. Let's go back to the standings page and let's do another month. Yeah, we're slamming that league leaders board for sure. Hmm. Creeping up towards the 800 winning percentage, but you keep stalling out at around 560. Ooh, 13 game RBI, 12 game RBI streak by Pete Incaviglia. That's impressive. We are at 26, tops in the majors. And let's sim to roster expansion date, September 1st. We are leading the league in home runs, first and third in batting average. And unimproved Ricky Henderson really doing well there with a 360 average. Gary Pettis, because he's on base a lot more, stealing more bases too. He's neck and neck with Ricky for stolen bases. All right. Nolan Ryan, 16 game quality start streak. Charlie Huff, 10 consecutive strikeout streak. That's more than a round through the rotation. Through the lineup. 37 game on base streak by Julio Franco. Nice. All right. Let's sim to the end of the regular season. We are cruising at 107 wins. How many more wins, please? Says Hercules. 124, 125, 126, 127, 128. We are at 129 and 32, and we have one more day to play because it took us to the last day of the season, and we haven't simmed the last day yet. You know what? Remember, I said 130 seems a little too much for this team. They might prove me wrong. They've won their last 10. They're on a 15-game winning streak to end the season, and they did hit that 800 win percentage. Let's see if they can keep it above that with one game left to play. It's against Oakland. Oh, and they lose. Tell Dr. D. Better than you thought, Gabrickly is better than I thought too. Hitting triple crown by Rafael Palmeiro. We got to check him out. ERA crown by Nolan Ryan. Most pitching wins by Nolan Ryan. Who got the strikeout crown then? Home run champ Palmeiro, batting champ Palmeiro, 15 game winning streak. Julio Franco went 2020, and we are going to the playoffs. All right, let's check out our stats real quick. Pitching stats. Let me screenshot this. All right, let's check out these strikeout numbers here. They did not hit the 500s that the editor predicted, but we didn't mess with Kevin Brown, right? An unedited Kevin Brown went 18 and 4 with 86 strikeouts. Then we got Charlie Huff with a perfect knuckleball, 24 and 5, 434 strikeouts. uh, Jamie Moyer with a perfect changeup, 20 and 6, 249 strikeouts. He's still a junk baller, even with that perfect changeup. He's lagging in the strikeouts, still a junk baller. Nolan Ryan with an improved circle change, as if he could be improved anymore. 27 and 3, 468 strikeouts, 0.96 whip, 4.6 strikeout per walk ratio. Bobby Witt Sr., though not senior yet. I don't think he had his kid yet. It's 26 and 4. Look how many more innings he's able to pitch because he's not walking so many. Well, no, he is walking so many batters. He's still pitched 270 innings. That's insane. That's was a ton of pitches. Here's the stat line: 148 walks, 473 strikeouts. That must be so many pitches. Every walk's at least four, and every strikeout's at least three. That's a ton of pitches. 15.7 strikeouts per nine. 12.1 WAR, all because of a perfect changeup. We didn't touch his control at all. Kenny Rogers in the pen, he also got a perfect changeup. 15.7 strikeouts per nine, 42 saves. Wow. Just the power of the changeup in this game. That's the big takeaway for me. I think it sounded like it was for you too, Hercules. All right, let's check out the batting stats. These should be impressive. Palmeiro won the Triple Crown. Let me screenshot this. So I have to scroll. You know what? I hope it doesn't crash the game. I'm going to resize this, try to get it in one screenshot. Don't crash the game. Don't crash the game. Oh, counterproductive and increase the font size. All right, I'm gonna have to take two screenshots then. I don't want to risk crashing the game anymore. And then I have to scroll down to get the rest. Oh, you know what? Let's just sort by OPS, and then I'll just grab the top because I'm less worried about the players at the bottom on that. That might be the screenshot I keep. Okay. So who do we have here? Rafael Palmeiro, 1175 OPS. You know what? The was right. They did top off at 70 home runs. Palmeiro was 70 bombs, 197 RBI. 197. I think that's a major league record. Convicted says you're searching your Angels base game for guys with high change of potential to sign. Yes. Awesome, Hercules. I hope this helps your team. That's awesome. 197 RBI. I believe that is a major league record. Um, who is it? Hack Wilson who has the record? Because I think the record is like 191 or something. Ruben Sierra, 63 bombs, 165 RBI, 1121 OPS. Julio Franco, 60 bombs, 151 RBI, 170 runs, 1095. Mike Stanley, small sample size. Pete Incaviglia, our other power guy, 60 home runs, 172 RBI, 330 average. So all these guys, we did not touch their avoid K, we did not touch their contact, but every home run's an added base hit, and so that's really boosting their batting average. 330 average for Pete Incaviglia without touching his avoid K or contact. That's insane. But that's what happens when you add 40 base hits to someone, I guess. And then Gary Pettis, who did change his avoid K, 318 average, 415 on base, and 49 stolen bases against 14 steals. Hey, D Block, good morning. We did a little sim here where I'll recap before we go into the playoffs. I used to play this game in base game called Raise the Roof, Raise the Floor, where I'd give 100 rating points to 9 or 10 players. I could usually either boosted their highest attribute, which might be like power or contact, or boost their, which is raise the roof, or boost their weakest attribute for like a Bobby Witt, that might be his control, and that was raise the floor. But one thing we learned during this is within the base game, the power of the changeup or the off-speed pitch. So, in Editor, you can see what the changes are doing. We found that for every one of these pitchers, Hack Wilson had 191 RBIs in 1930. Oh, can I get a shout out for my memory, please? I think I said Hack Wilson 191. I did not know the year though, so thank you, Hercules. For all these pitchers, we found the biggest change in their stat line was not giving Bobby Witt more control. It was giving each of them a maxed out off speed pitch. And then for the hitters, we thought, like for Pete Incaviglia, I thought avoid K, boosting that was a no brainer. But for everyone except the lowest power guys, boosting their power. If you're like already a mid power or better guy, your best bet's to boost your power. And we had a bunch of them hit 320, 330 with 60 bombs and 150, 170, 190 RBI. Gary Pettis was the one guy, he was a leadoff hitter who struck out over 130 times. We did boost his avoid K, and he came close to leading the league in stolen bases. So that's what we're up to, D Block. Welcome to the stream. So let's go back to the stats here. I am curious to see where this 49 stolen bases ranked. I think also impressive, though, are the guys we did not improve. The changeup is not surprising. Yeah, it's not surprising, but I didn't realize the extent to which the simulation engine values the changeup. And I get it. Like if you have a perfect changeup, and 550 is an insane changeup, right? If you have a perfect changeup, it makes your fastball that much more effective. It makes all your pitches more effective. But we tried it with other pitches, and other than the knuckleball, which is also an off-speed pitch, it outperformed every other pitch. Best pitch in baseball, sure. But here's the other thing it did. You know how in editor it predicts the 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 stat line based on the attributes. Every pitcher, even Jamie Moyer, like it cranked up the strikeouts. That was kind of the surprising part for me. And so now, Gambercules in his season save, he's looking for high changeup potential guys to sign, which I think is good strategy based on what we learned here. But Harold Baines, even in the games that we watched highlights for, he did pretty well, even though he was unboosted. So good for Harold Baines. All right, so I do now want to see the league leaders to see where Gary Pettis came in. So let me just take a quick look at the league stats before we go into the playoffs. And why OOTP is the default combined leagues. I'll never understand that. All right, where is stolen bases? I'll do a more thorough tour of this afterwards. But oh, he came in second to Ricky. Ricky had 51. Gary Pettis had 49. But I think he only had 30 some in real life, partly because he just wasn't getting on base because he was striking out so darn much. All right, so let's go to the playoffs. I like to do this from the tree. Oh, this is pre-wild card. It looks so simple. So quaint. All right. Pre-wild card. We're going straight into the LCS. And we are sweeping the Blue Jays. Finals, baby. How sweep it is. Berkeley is asking, does the engine weight the changeup the same in PD leagues? I do not know. Hey, do you happen to know, is the sim engine, whether it's in the base game or perfect team? Yeah, because it makes your fastballs better. Yeah, we did talk about that. It is effective both. That's yeah. The reverse splittiness of the changeup is important. That's a huge point, D Block. Thanks for bringing that up. But yeah, D Block, if you happen to know, I assumed it's the same sim engine. It's just that instead of these stat-based players, we have cards. No, the sim engine should be different. Oh, Twin says they are very different. Interesting. Okay. I did not know that. I assumed they were the same. But instead of putting in these attributes, you're putting in cards. But all right, thanks for clarifying that, guys. All right, we're in the World Series. Rangers versus the Expos. Should we sim until elimination game? Let's just sim it out. We know this team crushes. Part of this is I'm trying to calibrate the game I used to play in OOTP 25. So I think that I need to put some rules in, like you can add 220 points to anything except an off speed pitch, or maybe this is fine. I don't know. Twin says, like in franchise, control is not king, but PT it is king. In franchise, stuff is king, and the types of pitches. Okay. Berkeley says, I won't change the way I draft pitchers in PD in that case. Yeah, that sounds like good advice based on what we're hearing. All right, so let's just sim out the series. Oh, double sweep. All right, finish importing your historical rookie so I can get my screenshot. Does anyone we know um, really into the Rangers? Is TX Jenks a Rangers fan or an Astros fan? G Block says otherwise you would not have guys like Snell or Glass now be Cy Young candidates. Yeah. Oh, D Dempsey's a Rangers fan. Okay, awesome. Next time I see him, I'll let him know about this sim. I always think of this team to do it with because I think like, oh, if Bobby Witt had control, and if Jamie Moyer had stuff, and if Pete Incaviglia had avoid K, but it turns out it's just off-speed pitches and power. I'm actually very surprised they develop and run two different simulation engines. I just assume part of the benefit of Perfect Team is you're getting a whole different gameplay environment off of the same simulation engine, like a two for one. All right, so after I screenshot this, we're going to go through the postseason awards, and then we'll raid y'all on to someone else. Rafael Palmeiro won the batting triple crown, so I'm pretty sure he's going to win the MVP. But I'll be curious to see who wins the others. Cy Young will be interesting with multiple pitchers throwing 400 strikeouts. We'll see how the AI weights those performances. D-Block says you can't really do that because you compare cards from different eras. But ultimately, aren't you just running attribute versus attribute? I'd be real interested to understand um, how the kind of operating function of the two simulation engines is different then, like the approaches they each take, like the art, like the I guess the overarching architecture. I'm sure that's stuff they don't talk about, but I'd be really interested to know it, just from a kind of curiosity standpoint, but also like to better understand how the game's played. Oh yeah, we got to screenshot this. This is one of our highest scores. I'm not surprised. I think this is a tool the way I have it set up. It was not this powerful in other versions of the game. 1939. Yeah, that is one of the higher scores. We did have a 1600 game once. PT has different engine variants, by the way. One for league play, one for tour. I did not. What? Okay, that alone is surprising to me. The turn one is closer to the base game. Oh, okay. Well, that would make sense. All right. Let's sim to some postseason awards. So let me clean out the inbox for that. That's how I usually keep track of the awards. Oh wait, I don't know if I got a shot of the standings page. Let me grab that just in case. Right. In league play, the tiers are normalized. Okay, that would make sense. All right, and then the inbox, tag messages, and then let's sim to Great Glove Awards. Gary Pettis. That had nothing to do with us though, but good for him. Good for him. Bringing home some hardware that he actually earned on his own. Hercules, you are truly a fount of knowledge on the subject, E-Block. Glad I was here when you dropped in. Yeah, I'm glad I was here when you dropped in too. That's good information. Other than Rookie or Stone, you'll have noticed that very seldom guys will have even 40 plus home runs. Yeah, that's true. So, D-Block, does this come from your analysis of the results, or does this come from talking to like the devs? And let's sim to Sporer. Yeah, he would know. Reliever of the year announced. It just adds additional credibility to what you're saying. If it's not just your outside in assumption, but you're getting inside out explanation. So I appreciate you letting us know that. Kenny Rogers, reliever of the year. It is so hard for our sim relievers to win rookie reliever of the year. I'm glad he did it. Even then, he did not sweep the first place vote, 16-9 versus Dennis Eckersley. Pretty close race, 110 votes to 110 points to 75. But 3-7 record, 42 saves, and 204 strikeouts wins the award for our Kenny Rogers, the Kenny Rogers roaster. Let's just real quick pop in and see how many strikeouts did he have. So Kenny Rogers, 75 innings, 135 strikeouts, 15.7 strikeouts per 9 innings. And still had some control, so 5.0 strikeouts per walk. Led the team in strikeouts per walk. All right, so that's Kenny Rogers winning reliever of the year. Nice done. Nicely done. And let's go to Platinum Stick Awards. We should win several of these. I like that every time it's thinking, it goes back to our World Series trophy is the image. Rafael Palmeiro and an unimproved Harold Baines. Congratulations. Twins 34 saying D Block is for sure the PT guy. Yeah, can't argue with that. All right, let's see. Rafael Palmeiro, but he was boosted. Julio Franco, he was boosted. And our Pete Incaviglia also boosted. Our Gary Pettis boosted in Avoid K. Ruben Sierra boosted, but unboosted Harold Baines wins a 6 Silver Slugger Award, or sorry, 6 Platinum Stick Award for us. 6 out of 9 go to our team. That is fantastic. Let me save that file. All right. Rookie of the Year is next. I don't think we have anyone in contention for that. So we'll just have to see who wins. A bunch more messages came in. Here's Rookie of the Year. Jim Leyritz wins in the American League, and as I thought, we did not have one in the running for that, but I'm still going to clip that, and we are still going to save that record. All right, it's Manager of the Year, and then the two big ones. Oh, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see what I had to say. I'm very happy about this, I said, but I'm more happy about what my boys did on the field. They battled their butts off for me all year. They should get the credit. Yep, sounds like me to bypass the credit. D-Block says, thank you, but my knowledge is dwarfed compared to Warbot. We're seldom on the same page on a lot of PT, but his knowledge about the game is unmatched. But his knowledge is based on outside-in model building and analysis. Is that right, D-Block? I mean, not to diminish that, but I'm just trying to clarify. He's like a big modeler, and I think he knows a lot because he's parsed out what comes out of the game to understand what's in the game, is my understanding. All right, so let's copy this Manager of the Year award. And I don't mean to diminish that. I'm just trying to clarify the basis for his knowledge, which is vast. All right, the two biggies. Cy Young Award. This is the one I think is the most unknown. I think MVP is going to be Palmeiro for sure. But actually, any guesses? Hercules, D Block? Here are the stats. I think our four boosted pitchers are the most likely. Smells like Rasta says, personally, I believe my knowledge should be the most powerful. Could be. Could be. Um, I mean, I'm a Nolan Ryan fan. Is that why I want to go Nolan Ryan? He had the highest WAR. He had the lowest WHIP. He had just a few strikeouts less than Bobby Witt. Twins saying now in franchise there are different pitching repertoires that can give you some crazy strikeout numbers. For power pitching, a velo of 97 plus, a fastball, slider, and curveball will give you a ton of Ks. Slower velo, like a 93, 96 circle change changeup with fastball and curveball is good for Ks. Then with low velo, the knuckleball is the king of kings. Yeah, which also kind of runs true to form with real life, right? Like if you have a mid 90s, if you can throw mid 90s and throw a good circle change and a curveball, that is a recipe for success. T-Luck saying both because he understands so well and his model is so good, only diminished by his eye. Yeah, he does love eye. And then a high velo with a slider and curveball. I think in real life that would also serve you well. So Twins, I totally agree with you. What I don't see in there is anything that like would seem funky in real life. So I feel like the versions that work in the model work. Um, Berkeley saying I gotta copy and paste that into Notepad for my base game trades. I've grabbed it for you too. In case you miss it, I'll message it to you. I'm assuming you're talking about what Twins just sent. But yeah, thanks, Twins. That absolutely makes sense. Um, and it sounds like you've proven those out over time. That's good. That's good to see. Oh, you got it? Great. That is gold. Yeah, that's what you get on this stream. Gold. Gold from D Block, gold from Twins, gold from my crazy Sims. We're gonna see Cy Young. So I don't know, you guys got picks? I'm going with Nolan Ryan here. I'm going with this guy. Bobby Witt had more strikeouts. Jamie Moyer had I can't really make an argument for Jamie Moyer. Feels like it's down to these two. But that's just me. D Block. Oh, you guys are still talking about pitching profiles, man. I'm trying to ask you to pick a Cy Young Award winner here. D Block saying you want about a 10-mile-per-hour difference in the changeup and the fastball in real life to be most effective. Is that the same in base game? You know, in base game, it tells you the pitcher's velo, but it tells you the max velo. I don't think it tells you the velo per pitch. I mean, you see it in the game, but I don't think you see it in editor. But again, I could be wrong. I've learned a lot about from Twins about base game, even though I've played it a long time. He knows a lot more than I do. Okay, like franchise just said, there is not a difference. At least there's not a visible difference in in uh in editor. Like many things in the game, of course, it exists below the surface. I just think we don't see it. All right, no one's guessing the Cy Young winner, so I'm going to guess Nolan Ryan, and then we'll go. We're going to go back and see who won it. All right, let's go back to the mailbox and let's get the Cy Young. Oh, Gumberkley is in with Ryan. Oh, D Block, that's a good guess. Our reliever of the year, Kenny Rogers. That's a good guess. I like that. I hadn't thought about that. Twins saying now in MLB The Show, you can see the different velos, but in OOTP, they do not go that deep per pitch. Ooh, Gumberkley's going with Bobby Witt now. Interesting. All right, let's see what happens here. Did we already get it in the inbox? No, not yet. Oh, yeah, because we would see the achievement pop up. Nolan Ryan, my favorite pitcher. Gives me goosebumps seeing my favorite pitcher win a fake Cy Young Award. It really did. I got goosebumps just now. With speculation about his retiring gaining steam. Wow. His ERA was significantly higher, though, than editor predicted. Bobby Witt, I'm changing for 5 packs. You know what? I was a little worried that if it was only Gumberkules every night, that if I got giveaway packs, that OOTP ops would get suspicious. But if we're gonna have like Twins and Gilbertleys and D Block in here every night, I will request giveaway packs and we can start having some giveaways. I don't know if I'll get them, but I'll request them. Wow, something he got snubbed his whole career. You know what? All it took was giving him the perfect circle changeup, and he got it. Uh, of course, it was not unanimous, but the person who got the other first place votes, Bobby Witt. So our four boosted pitchers finished 1, 2, 4, and 5 in the Cy Young voting, with Roger Clemens coming in third. And Dave Steve getting some votes to come in sixth. Good job. Dave Steve actually shut out our team the second game of the season. Our team with 4 95 power batters on a scale of 80. 4 of them were 95, and Dave Steve shut us out. All right, so let me copy this. Oh, you know what? I just noticed I did not copy the Cy Young vote. So let me go back to that real quick and copy it. Oh, not that. Oh, that was. Oh, yeah, we're doing MVP now. Sorry. MVP is next. I think there's no suspense here. Rafael Palmeiro won the batting triple crown. So T Block says, yeah, we can have maybe 2 or 3 seasons. Or I think you've won it, but really his velo/Ks were blinding a lot of fans to his major flaws. No, no, I knew he had flaws, but I just liked his style. And I like that he was a former Met, started out as a Met. Rafael Palmeiro. But I know you don't just mean me, D Block. I know you mean his supporters in general. And yeah, no, I agree. I think there's also an era where like just like home runs now, like strikeouts then were like the big thing. Like when Dwight Gooden came up, people were just dazzled by his strikeouts. Yeah, Palmero Triple Crown sweeps the first place votes. And our four boosted players came in first, second, third, and fourth in this category. So, when I think about it, this team, 129 wins, not significantly better or worse than some of the other treatments I've given teams. So maybe I don't need to change it. I think I was a little scared off because editor was predicting ERAs under 1 and 500 strikeout seasons, and that did not come to pass. So I'm a little less worried about it now. So I'm okay with this. This I don't know. I call it. What do I call it? I've got a slide here of. Oh yeah, these are the different games I used to play. Variations of these in the base game. Right, you can add any Hall of Famer and one non-Hall of Famer teammate from history to your team. You can add any three teammates from the history of your franchise to your team. You can force any four trades. You can take 5 of your players and replace them with peak versions of themselves. Or you can grab any 6 free agents from the previous offseason for 0 salary. So this one would kind of go in with there. I think 10 might be too many, but you would get to add. It used to be 100 points. You can add 220 points to any one trait for 10 players. Uh, says did not mean you. I didn't think you did, but I just wanted to clarify that. One of D Block's favorite pitchers is Kevin Apier because of the way he pitched, but I would never say they should have gotten Cy Young votes except for 2 seasons, not to speak of winning it. Favorite player does not have to depend on the best in anything. That is true. That is true. Yeah. My favorite team is the Mets, and they are the best at nothing. So it applies for teams too. So anyway, yeah, I would hope maybe raise the roof, raise the floor could be one of these game night options at some point. So the intent of game night was to show kind of how different ways I used to play the base game. But now that I'm an affiliate and hopefully have more people popping in, I was thinking about giving people in the chat the chance to play too. So they could pick their favorite team. Maybe we can spin the wheel or something to figure out which option they get to use and let them make their changes, and then we can run it. Twins34 says, no, the Mets are best at letting good players get away. They could have completed a winning team. I'm going to argue you on that, Twins34, and say that the Mets are best at signing players or acquiring players who have passed their peak. And I go all the way back to Juan Samuel on that one. But I guess the flip side of that is also giving away good players that could have contributed to a winning team. But the ones that really sting are the ones where you get saddled with their contracts and stuck with them after their peak. Sounds like your twins. Yeah, the list is long and not distinguished. I remember even Junior Naboa had one good season, and of course the Mets grab him. You thought Gone Berkeley thought it was his angel signing players past their peak. Maybe everyone feels that way at some point. It probably is a pretty common mistake that teams make. All right, let's see. Is there anything else left to do on the sim here? We got the MVP award on massive contracts. Sure, I thought that went without saying, but good to point out. True. Long-term massive contracts. Of course, nothing stings more than the Bobby Bonilla contract. I have friends reminding me of every year in July. Oh, in fact, it's coming up soon. I'm about to get a bunch of emails reminding me of Bobby Bonilla Day, as if I would forget. I think I only have about 10 more years of that coming up. D-Block says the Royals just signed bad players that don't even have a peak to speak of. Berkeley says we have Rendon still getting paid. I was actually surprised the Reds still had, I think, some Ken Griffey Jr. money still on their books until recently. What was I going to do here? Oh yeah, I want to look at stats, league stats. Maybe screenshot some of them. Okay, AL stats. All right, let me screenshot these first three lines here. I like these nice and tidy top fours in RBI, top fours in slugging, OPS. Um, little spread out here as people squeeze in average. George Brett coming in second at 346. I always like George Brett's game. T Block, that's for you. I like George Brett. I was a Mets fan growing up, but I like George Brett. I like the way he played the game. D Block saying Rendon wasn't that bad of a signing. I thought it turned out to be just very unlucky. Home runs. Palmeiro led with 70. Cecil Fielder snuck in there in third place with 62. Between Ruben Sierra's 63 and Franco and Incaviglia tied with 60. The next sixth place hitter was Jose Canseco with 44, 16 home runs behind. On base percentage, Ricky Henderson comes in first. Randy Milligan from Baltimore, former Met, squeezes in at fourth. Slugging, we got the top four. WAR. First and second, Ricky squeezes in at third. And then at bats, that really doesn't matter, but Palmeiro came in tied for first. And then hits, Palmeiro leads, Brett second, Junior fifth place with 204 hits. Hercules says the year he signed, I was happy, then slowly disappeared. That has slowly disappeared. Yeah, that's how those deals work. Although with Juan Samuel, I was disappointed from the beginning. I was like, we are getting this guy after a peak season. We are delusional if we think he's going to repeat that or come close. Three guys over the home run record. Yep. Yep. That's what happens when you give him 550 power. All right, let's look at some pitching stats. For Hercules, none of those predicted sub 1.2 ERAs came to pass. But they did finish first, second, and fifth in the league in ERA. So quite impressive. Probably the closest anyone's going to come to 30 wins in a long time. 27 wins, 26 from Bobby Witt. Didn't touch the loss leaders. Led the league in saves. Kenny Rogers. 12.4 and 12.1 WAR. The third place was Roger Clemens with 8.1. So over 4 WAR distance between first and second, and then Roger Clemens. Man, Clemens almost pitched 300 innings, 289 and 2/3. Clemens with 16 complete games? Are you kidding me? In 1990? Charlie Huff with 10, but he's a knuckleballer. And Nolan Ryan with 9, but he's a machine. Clemens threw 16 complete games and 4 shutouts. Oh, look at this. All tied for first with 4 shutouts. Clemens, Huff, Ryan, Saberhagen, and Witt. Brett Saberhagen, that's another one we got after his prime with Kansas City. So D-Block, your Royals got one over at least on someone. You guys got the Mets to take Saberhagen. Although we also did get David Cohn from Kansas City. That seemed to have worked out in the Mets' favor for a change. And then look at this. 3 400 strikeout performances. Bobby Witt almost getting to 500. 473, 468, 434. And junk baller Jamie Moyer comes in fourth with 249. But yeah, all that came from adding changeups and knuckleballs to their, or not adding, but like maxing out their off-speed pitch. So it goes that exactly in line with what Twins was talking about. I think I screenshot this one. I'm going to grab it just in case. Cohn is the only guy we, meaning the Royals, traded twice, getting basically nothing in return. That's a heck of a player to give away, too. I always liked him when he was with the Mets. He was one of my favorite players. Because he was so good on the field, but he also seemed like kind of a nerdy weirdo off the field. which I guess also kind of distracts Greinke too, right? And didn't Greinke also come from the Royals? What are they doing producing all these nerdy pitchers who are also like Terminators on the field? All right, well, that's another one of my weird experiments. I think it turned out pretty fun. It was fun, like trying to figure out where to put the points, and then using Editor. So first of all, I think Editor is better now at giving a look ahead of what your changes are going to give you in play. I don't think it was that good in the past. In fact, I know in early versions, I don't think it had it at all. So that was helpful. And then also, I think the dynamics of how where you put the points and how it changes results has definitely changed over time. So that was cool to see. D Block saying Greinke trade gave us a foundation for back-to-back Roses wins. Yeah, no, on the Greinke trade, I'm not questioning, but I'm just saying Greinke came from the Royals, Cone came from the Royals. Those are two like great pitchers who are kind of like quiet weirdos. So do you guys have like a mold for those somewhere? So yeah, this is an eye opener for the power of the changeup in the base game, and also the changes in editor over time, and the changes in the way adding points to different attributes has changed over time. So this is really cool for me. I know Gumbercules is going to change the way he trades in the base game. D Block saying he wanted to go to NLT and to be able to bat. Yeah, I mean, if you're a pitcher and you love the game, I'm sure you love to bat too. All right, I think we're going to call this a successful stream and call it a night. D Block saying, so we had to trade him, otherwise he would have been gone as free agent. Yeah. Yeah, it was too far off to be able to say, hey, eventually both leagues are going to have DHs. All right, I'm going to look for someone streaming out of the park baseball. Unless one of you guys is going to stream, I can just wait and then raid into you. No one is streaming out of the park. Okay. Cheeky's advice last time this happened, I think his good advice was to raid into MLB The Show if there's no one doing out of the park. Maybe we can entice some of those players to try out OTP, maybe? Okay, this guy Manic was playing yesterday. Truman Nation. Danielle Freak. Gumberkley's going to make dinner. Have a good day, night, all. Catch you guys at some time tomorrow. All right, Gumberkley's, have a good day. I'm glad you enjoyed the stream, and it sounds like you learned a lot. So that's a double win there. D-Block has to do chores. Want to be done with that at lunch so you have a free leisure afternoon. That sounds good to me. All right, I'm going to take you guys into one of these MLB The Show streams. You can bail from there, but let's maybe introduce some of them to OTP. I'm sure they must know OTP, right? All right, how about and then stream at 3 p.m. your time? Okay, I'm going to try to catch some of that when I get up. Okay, let's do raid into Manic. Oh, should I put my title screen up at the end? D-Block, you know this kind of stuff. Should I put my episode slide back up at the end? Does it matter? Oh, good. It's letting me raid this time. Awesome. Maybe I finally solved the issue with um, my Twitch not working properly.
Does your cleanser go the extra mile?
All right, I'm going to raid you guys in. Thanks for joining us tonight, guys. Appreciate it.
99% of makeup. The #1 dermatologist makeup remover wipe brand.